Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Well, I just looked at my gold and silver, and I'm much happier than I was last night. So we've got 95.83 silver. It was down a little bit yesterday. It was down all the way back down to 91, and you just worry like, oh, how far down can it go? But here comes China, and now even the U.S. and gold 48.65, ready to get to 50 to 5,000 already. The 10 o'clock drop went up, which happens once in a while. We got to be careful of a 12 o'clock drop, but the 10 o'clock drop was very short, only about $5 or $6 from 48.43, and then boom. So that's always a good day. And 95.81 in silver. What a happy day. So we're still hoping for $100 silver by tomorrow. It's just a number, but there'll be pushback. It'll hit 100, and then it'll go back to 99, and then it'll go to 100. Why? I don't know. This is just games. Why the round of 50? It took a minute, and then finally, when it went past 50, we're now at 95. Gold, we paused a little at 2,000. Once it broke 2, it flew up to 25 to 3. 35, kind of stuck a little bit, 35, and then finally blew through 37, went to 4, stuck a little at 4, then 45, and now 45 to 5,000 is going very quickly. 48 already. What's happening is the physical market. This is no longer a paper market. Even though COMEX is still pricing it, it's being done by China and BRICS. It's the demand for the gold and silver, not the dollar going down, that's creating this. This is demand, because if you listen to Alligator McLeod and he says it's the dollar going down, not gold going up, then explain what happened with silver down to $91 yesterday. If the dollar's going down, silver would be going up. It wouldn't come down. The dollar didn't get stronger. That's impossible. The dollar can't get stronger. So if the dollar's not getting stronger, why did gold and silver go down the other day? Because of the options. But now the demand's taking over and people are buying it cheap. And really, this is the cheapest place to buy it, is on COMEX, because in Singapore, as Pat tells us, it's a lot higher. Plus, there's 5-6 hours of line to go into the gold stores and buy the gold. That's huge demand, and that's the point of it. Huge demand, low supply equals high prices. We've already bought, or most of us, and we're just sitting back on, hey, I mean, when it hits 8,700, or 80. When it hits 4,900, I'll have made another 10,000. 45 to 46, make 10 grand. 46 to 47, make 10 grand. So that's the beauty of it. This is the best job I've ever had. It's weird. I'm kind of retired and I'm working at the same time. It's just my job doesn't require me to go to an office except for here. And that's what I want for all you, is to get as much as you can. I tried to tell you to get it at $20 an ounce silver and $2,000 an ounce gold. As I showed you yesterday, I bought some with the premium. It was 19 something. So it was probably about 18 something when that was my first purchase. And not my first, I had bought some, like when I graduated 1995, I got this, and then I had gotten a few ounces along the way, but not serious. I was getting the cards. And that's where my critical thinking took me. I knew after my master's, it was clear that anything very limited and highly demanded is going to go up. That's what you learn in Austrian economics, the free market. So knowing that's going to happen, And knowing the dollar was inflated, like I said, my first class in like 1993, the guy comes in and rips up the dollar. He rips it in half, says it's worthless. And we immediately figured gold and silver was what to do. And that was, I remember doing presentations in front of the class about, like, we had to create a portfolio. This wasn't even in economics. This was in my stock class. And it was about a portfolio. And my portfolio had gold in it. This is 1993. And then, I present 19, it's 20% gold because the inflation. In the next class, everybody's presenting and all of a sudden, they all had gold in their portfolio. I loved it. But I think the biggest kicker, what I try to explain to like Alyssa and Jenna, is this is worthless. So if this has no value, you want to be out of it. So I tried to explain it to Alyssa. I said, I'm very careful with my cash. I'd rather use credit cards for things because if I have cash, it's limited. And once it's gone, I can't get it back unless I sell gold or silver, which I don't want to do at these cheap prices. I don't want to sell silver till it's at least $700-800 an ounce. And then it's only 1 or 2 ounces because I want to go on a trip or something. So that was the key. I told her, and she got it. I said, this is worthless. And that's where you have to have your money. And I'm trying to teach her. I gave her a 10-ounce bar. And I says, well, okay, now you're going to learn economics. I says, what do you do with it? Do you sell it at $95, so $950? Now I gave it to her, so it's all profit to her. Do you sell it for $950, or do you hold it until it hits 500 and then you get 5,000 for it? So it's the opportunity cost of selling it at 1,000 or holding it, watching it go to 5,000. When do you sell in that? And I keep telling her, I'll trade you the bar for 10 ounces. That way, if you need money, you can sell like 2 or 3 ounces and still have 6 or 7 ounces. This is the problem with the bars. If you just have bars, the problem is I got to sell the whole bar. And you don't want to sell it at 95. You want to sell it at 500. And that's why you do want single ounces also, because then you could, it's okay if you sell 2 ounces and you get, 95. So you get $190 for 2 ounces. That's okay. I remember she needed money once a little bit ago. And she says, can I have $100? And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 4 ounces of silver. And she went to the wherever and she cashed it in dollars. Now they're each worth $100 a piece, just about. So she's learning, and now she's getting it. She's like, wow. I go, it's now worth $9.30. Now it's worth $9.50. And she's like going, oh, she's getting it now. And the blind part is you don't see the dollar go down in value. You do at the grocery store, but it's very hard to connect the dots that steaks are $20 a pound because the dollar's worthless. Oh, they're just raising steak. Oreo cookie, there's $5 for a $2 pack. The big thing. I go, so you can't connect that it's the dollar going down because they present it as inflation is cost going up, which it's not. It's inflating the money supply. So therefore, it's really the dollar that's losing value at the grocery store. That's how you figure out the dollar's losing value, is when the groceries are now, I paid $3.99, I think, for cauliflower yesterday. And the thing was tiny. I didn't go to my store. I went to a store near Alyssa's. So I almost didn't buy it and just go to my store today and pick it up. But I was there. I was like, okay, I'll get it. John C., hello. Tester your voice. What does that mean? You're not hearing me? I should be fine. It shows I'm fine on the bottom. Let's see. No, I'm not. So can you not hear me? I don't know. Let me check. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I can hear. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? So the voice is. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? So the voice here. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? So the voice seems to be working there. So I don't know what is tester your voice means, but I just did. So there's an interesting one I'm just looking at. Japan pulls the trigger. Japan's bond shock, debt market implosion is collapsing. So you see this around the whole world. Uh, Britain's going out, Germany, France, all these countries are going bankrupt. The dollar is not far behind. Everything's going bankrupt, but it doesn't just happen like tomorrow. It happens over the course of time. Maybe it's a month, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, but it's happening. So we are ahead of the game and we're going, well, the only answer is to get into gold and silver and get out of the dollar. That's worthless. All right. So I believe you can hear me. Now it works. Okay. So we're 95.44 silver and 48.72 gold. So it'd be nice to get to 49 by the end of class. And 95.44 was 95.70. It's still good that it's in the 95s. So as I was explaining, we'll get to football in a minute. So as I was explaining to her, this is your decision. We always have decisions with money. Do you sell the silver now or do you hold it? And a lot of that depends on your position. If you have money and you're able to hold it, you hold it. If you need the money, you have to sell it. But I'm telling her, maybe sell, I'll give you 10 ounces for the bar, and then that's choice A. It's like let's make a deal. Behind curtain A is you have a 10-ounce bar. Curtain B, you have 10 ounces. So if you need to sell, if you need the money, if you don't need it, it doesn't matter. If you need the money, then you probably want 10 ounces and you probably want to sell 2 or 3 and let the other 6 or 7 wait till it hits 500 an ounce if you need to sell it. So that's where it's kind of looking at. So it's interesting though, because she's learning economics and doesn't realize it. But that's a lot of our finance decisions. Do we buy things now or do we wait? Now, that was the whole idea of a savings account. Your savings account is the opportunity to hold it in the bank because it's going to go up and you get interest. So you're going to make money. As opposed to spending the money then and then you don't have any. Well, if I can hold my money and let it grow, now even at a bank you get 2 or 3%, which is nothing. That's your options. So what we've decided was, since this is worth nothing, we have to get out of this. Ergo, since this is worthless, we get into something with value. Now, it could be gold, it could be silver, it could be a baseball card that Mickey Mantle, it could be a Rolex or that, or something very limited with high demand. And that's what you want to get into. There's nothing more limited and highly demanded than this in gold. So, but we can't hold this because it has no value. So you have to get out of this. It's not, well, geez, what do I do with it? And and your options are gold and silver aren't really also stocks, bonds, and real estate trusts. That's really not an option. The stocks are about to collapse. Your houses are market is about to collapse. The bonds have already collapsed. They're not worth anything. Companies are in trouble. The inflation's massive. The value of the dollar is worthless. So anything in dollars is worthless. Your Bitcoin, it's worthless because this is worthless. Well, it's worth 90,000. I think I looked at it yesterday, $90,000. But it's worthless. It's in dollars. Take the dollar away. What's this worth? This is still worth a lot. This is where the dollar's going, right? You'll say, well, what are you going to sell your gold and silver for? What fiat currency? And I'm like, no, that's the money. This will be the money. Look at BRICS. They've already had a gold-backed currency now. It rolled out in January. Russia, I think, is doing it in February. But this is the money. So you're not going to sell this for this. This will be the money. And so you don't really want to. It makes it very easy for you what to do. Right? Get out of the dollar, and then it's look around. That's the first thing I did when Biden did this big $5 trillion spending. I said, well, that's it. That's the end of the dollar. And then when the petrodollar went, and you didn't need dollars to buy Saudi oil, that then created a flood of dollars on the market, which then caused the inflation to double or triple. So when that happened, the dollar's worth even less because then nobody needs the dollar. They're all shipping it back here. When Russia and China sell their bonds, they sell $1 trillion worth of treasuries. That's the dollar coming back. That's much more inflationary. Now we got even more dollars. And people were using the dollar outside of the country aren't using it anymore. BRICS not using it for currency exchange. And now they're selling the bonds. So there's even more money coming back. So we're being flooded by worthless paper backed by nothing. And so is every other country. So it's very obvious what's going on. And then the question is, what do you do? Well, you get out of it into something that's a real asset. Highly demanded, limited. Okay, mantle cards, absolutely. Joe Montana, Brady, yeah. Or you can get into Rolex watches or paintings. I love that one. You have a Picasso. Well, you can't take that to the grocery store. I mean, it's so stupid. I'm not trying to take a Picasso to the grocery store. It doesn't mean it doesn't have value. So it's just crazy. But it's funny how they use that as the example. Well, you can't take it to the grocery store. Yeah, you won't be able to take dollars either, but let's not talk about that. We'll just talk about you can't take gold to the grocery store. Anyway, so this is what's happening. Trump's in Davos. Davos is in Switzerland. This is where all the Nazis of the World Economic Forum are there. That Charles Schwab guy, and then all the phony leaders of the West. And Trump's there. And I'm watching one video that says he's trying to end it. And I don't know who these people are. So I'm very leery until I know who they are, that they're telling the truth. And then I'm really worried about AI because there was a video and the guy says, well, it's AI. And you're like, well, that sounded just like normal. So now you're questioning most things on YouTube. I am not AI, so I can tell you that. And Egon is not AI, and Mark McGuire is not. Some of these, the Mr. Fuji guy, I think he is AI, and I wouldn't listen to a word he says. But that's really the key to it. We need money to buy things, so that's why it's so important. We need money when we work to get paid because we don't want to get paid in apples and oranges. We could get paid in apples and oranges. I mean, they could give you, well, Howard, here's 100 apples for the day, but it's not gonna buy you groceries or a meal at a restaurant. It's not going to buy you that. the apples, because what's agreed upon and the best thing is that this is money. So this is agreed upon by the most popular thing, the most desirable thing that people want to use to trade. This is a trade. I'm trading this for my whiskey, right? This is a trade. Do I want this or do I want this? Well, I really want whiskey, so I'm going to trade this for that, and it becomes a fair trade. How much do you want for it? Now it's got to be fair. That's why the stakes at $20 are not considered a fair trade by us, because we're used to paying 10 for it. And if we only pay 10 for it, 20 is too high. Now, because it's hard to calculate the inflation, 20 is probably it's probably like $2. But psychologically, it's $20. But the value of the 20 is worthless, right? And that's the part that's kind of hard to understand. John C., is Stidham any good to win a game? Well, I mean, he can't be worse than C.J. Stroud and Caleb, right? So, I mean, he played at Auburn. He's his record in the pros in about 5 years is he's he played 3 games. He played a game at Oakland. I put it on my sheet yesterday. His NFL record or his college record. Threw for a couple like 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 picks his senior year at 2018 at Auburn. Is he good? Well, I mean, to play quarterback at Auburn, you're playing Alabama and Georgia and LSU. I would say he's decent. Is he unknown? Not really. I mean, I thought he was a good quarterback at Auburn. In my draft video, I made a comment about him. I think New England took him. I thought that was a good pick. But then again, they drafted Mac Jones and Zappy, so I don't know. I think with Sean Payton, he'll be fine. It depends on the system and the coach, right? We saw what? Who was the guy at Washington State? I can't remember. The guy who really sucked. He was the number 1 pick, and he sucked. But at college, he was good. So, do we feel that this system is good for Stidham? Yeah, we probably do, because it's Sean Payton. I think he'd do good with Sean McVay. Look at Mac Jones at San Francisco with Shanahan. So if you're put in the right system, in the right situation, you're fine. Denver's got good receivers. If they get J.K. Dobbins back, they're going to run the ball too. Although I don't know how much they're going to run it on New England. They got a pretty good run defense. You can beat them passing the ball. Can he win? Maybe. I think he can win this game, but I don't think he can win the Super Bowl. But we'll see. Is he Joe Montana? I don't think so. But I think he's at least as good as Jared Goff and C.J. Stroud and Kirk Cousins. I think he's probably ahead of those guys. So you ask, is Kirk Cousins any good? Can he win the game? Well, in the regular season, he's okay. Not in the playoffs. There's guys that can't win. Look at Darnold. Is he better than Darnold? Probably. Darnold can't win a playoff game. He won last week, was really not him. It was the defense, the turnovers. Had a few decent ones, but they put up 41. Against them 2 weeks ago, they won 13-3 against San Francisco. So can we rely on Darnold to win? I'd rather rely on this guy, Stidham. Patriots have been lucky all year long. Well, no, they haven't been lucky. They got lucky in the fact their schedule was a high school schedule. That'd be like Alabama playing East Carolina every game, or Grambling. Who was it that played Grambling? I think Ohio State played Grambling, after the Texas game. So, like I said, there's not been a lot of games that New England actually won that were good teams. The Buffalo win at Buffalo, it's kind of a surprise. The Baltimore game at the end, well, Lamar stinks, so they won 28-24. That's why Harbaugh is gone. He stinks. The Giants did not get a good coach. Whoever takes the Baltimore job is going to fail because if they have to use Lamar, they're in trouble because he sucks, basically. So if they're just going to go, well, we got Lamar, you got to coach. Like if I took the job, I'd say, well, I'm going to quarterback Huntley, and I'm going to have Lamar at my wide receiver. And if they say no, I say, see you later. You're never winning anything with Lamar at quarterback. And that's really what you're dealing with. So Harbaugh, maybe he had to keep Lamar because of the whole he's a running quarterback and all this bullshit. Hard to say, but Scadaboo's no these things. I think Stidham's better than Scadaboo, or than whatchamacallit Dart, and he's got to be better than C.J. Stroud. I mean, it's like the dollar. You don't know because you're not seeing it. Is the dollar the value of the dollar go down? Yes, but how do you prove it? Well, all you can do is go to the grocery store, and a Coke is $2.99 for a 2-liter that used to be 99 cents. Coke didn't raise their price, so things like that. So Stidham's good, or believe me, Sean Payton is a very smart guy, and he wouldn't have had him there when Drew Brees was the quarterback. He had this great backup from Missouri. I can't think of his name. He was really good in college. Sean Payton gets him and puts him to back up Drew Brees in case he gets hurt. And he never played, or very, very rarely, but he was really good. So I'm sure Payton's smart enough to have a good backup, unlike the Lions, who are too stupid to do that, and have a good backup in Stidham. So I think Stidham can play. I think he can keep the game competitive. I don't think New England's going to go on the road with Drake May, who's never been on the road in a playoff game, is just going to light it up. He did nothing at North Carolina. I think they got killed by Clemson or Florida State, whoever they played. They didn't win any big. I don't recall North Carolina. That's why I was shocked at this quarterback. He never did anything in college. So, can Drake May win on the road is probably the better question. Stidham can win. It's at home. There's many ways to win. Short passes to the backs, the tight ends, good defense. We'll see if it's been weak lately. So I think New England can score on it. And the question is, what can Denver do? How many turnovers they get from Drake May? But you have the very bright coach in Sean Payton. That's what you're betting here. He'll figure out what to do with Stidham, and he's had a week to do it. So he's sitting there going, okay, we got some. What does he like to do and not? He's different than Bo Nix. Bo Nix probably runs. Does Stidham run? Probably not. I don't recall him being a runner and that. So I do believe that Denver's got a very good chance of winning the game for sure. Patriots have been lucky. Well, they just got a weak schedule. They played pretty good. I mean, there's games. Their defense definitely is real. Very strong defense. The offense, I don't know. I mean, you don't see him much. We did see him choke against Buffalo. They had a big lead, and they lost 35-31. So is Stidham as good as Josh Allen? Probably. I don't think Josh Allen's all that like they make him out to be. He was very weak at Wyoming. He just had a strong arm, whatever that means. Like, who cares? Which team do you throw to? And look at him last week. He turned the ball. He fumbled 3 times, Josh Allen. You don't see Mahomes do that in a playoff game. You never saw Joe Montana do that in a playoff game. Tom Brady, very rarely. You think Mike Vrabel, the system he's in, is making him better? QU. I don't know what QU means. Quarterback. Josh McDaniels is the ox. I don't know what that means. What do you mean, ox? Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator. Oh, I don't. He's not that good. Drake May. Well, it's always the system. Like I say, it was Josh Rosen who was good at UCLA, didn't get the right system. Hendon Hooker, the Lions got changed systems on him. They didn't use the Tennessee system where the guy was great. So again, it's the college system, and then you get them in the pros. And if you go off system, can the quarterback adapt to it? Well, if you're going to draft the guy, you better go to that system. But they didn't, because golf can only do a play action system. Golf can't go back. Golf has to be able to run the ball and do play action. That's what he did on the Rams. Hand the ball to Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley occasionally fake it to him and play action and roll the other way. That's Jared Goff. And as soon as you take away the running, he sucks, as you see. Now, the Lions need offensive line help, so therefore that's their problem. And without an offensive line, they can't run, and he can't play action. So he's worthless. Are they going to get an offensive line help? Well, I think Taylor Decker's probably going to retire. Your center retired. I mean, your offensive line stinks now. All these backups playing. It's not next man up. It's unless they're equal. So you can't replace an all-pro with a guy who worked at Farmer Jack's. It's not gonna happen. So, typos. It's okay. I'm used to Bobby typing. So Vrabel, really, he's a defensive guy. So I don't know what offensive system he's running. Josh McDaniels. I don't know. He's never been a good offensive coordinator, I didn't think. I thought Brady was always the offensive coordinator, not him. So, yeah, May's doing good in that system. And Stidham, I think, will do good. I think what Sean Payton does is say, okay, what do you do well? And this is what we need to run, things that Stidham can do well, even though it might not be what he's been playing with Bo Nix, who runs a little bit more. Bo Nix throws a lot of like these short passes, but man, when they needed the touchdown before half and then the pass interference and overtime, he was nailing it. He could really throw. So you're like, why isn't he doing that? But I think that's Sean Payton's doing is let's keep it simple and consistent. And we want to control the clock, control the game. We're going to just get first downs, sort of like what Mahomes does. Mahomes just tries to run, get first downs and keep the clock and keep the possession alive and wear you out. And the defense gets worn out, they're dead. And then you win. And I think that's what Denver does. So I think it's not going to be this guy's got to throw all these 20-yard passes and that. There's a lot of these little tight ends and a lot of screens Denver runs. So we'll see. Again, the game's in Denver. It's mile high. New England's going to get tired. And is New England all that? I don't think so. Again, in a big game against Buffalo, they lost 35-31. Then they beat the Jets in Miami. Big deal. And that's what you're talking about, them winning against weak teams. So, anyway, Patriots are a good team, but I don't think they're good enough to be a road favorite of 5.5 points in Denver for the championship. They're not that good, and they've never been there before. And I very rarely see a team who hasn't been there before win. Normally what happens is you get there and you lose, and then the next year you go. Example, the 84 Bears had to go to San Francisco. They lost 20-0, 26-0. The Niners won the Super Bowl in 84. And then the Bears won the Super Bowl in 85. The only team I kind of think of is probably the 81 49ers, the one that won the 81 Super Bowl with Joe Montana's first Super Bowl, where they actually won, but they beat Dallas in that big game where the catch game, right? But look what it took, a miracle, and they barely beat Dallas, and the game was at home. And then they get to the Super Bowl against Cincinnati, who had never been there either. So it was kind of two teams that hadn't been there, and the Niners won it. But generally, the first time you're just getting used to it. Speed, the passion, everything else. And then you win it the second year. So I don't think New England is ready to go to Denver and win. I would find that very hard, even with Stidham. The Giants won with Jeff Hostetler, for Christ's sake. Baltimore won with Trent Dilfer. This guy's at least as good as Jeff Hostetler. He's probably as good as Phil Simms, who sucked. That was the best thing that happened to the Giants was Phil Simms got hurt. Hostetler was fine. So you'll just see in these big games, Stidham he's got his opportunity. He's at home. They're home dogs. There's really no pressure. We're supposed to lose anyway because we're at 5.5 point dog. So I think Stidham. I think the other thing is New England really won't know how to defend him because they don't know. How do you defend the guy? What does he do? You have no idea. So I think Denver is a very live dog in the game. Can they win it? If they get the turnovers, they'll win it. If they put a lot of pressure on Drake May, and when he goes to run, he gets fumbled. He didn't do a lot against Houston last week. And Denver's got almost as good a defense, although Denver's defense has been slipping. But anyway, yeah, I think he's a very live. New England's not going to come in here at 34-0. You're not seeing that. No, I haven't put a score down. I have put the score down for the Ram game because that's my free play, and that's 27-24 LA. And I have a feeling we're going to be like 20-17, 24-20 in this New England-Denver game. Pretty good defenses. But, the defense scores also, punt returns. So, yeah, definitely he can win the game. League must be watered down for a team like the Patriots to get this far. Well, it was the weak schedule. They have never won in Denver. How many times do they play in Denver? They're not in the same division. A lot of teams haven't won in Denver who only play them once in a while. Well, the league is watered down. You got C.J. Stroud. You got Caleb. You got a lot of these shit quarterbacks. You got Hurts. You got Stroud. You got Steve Young at Carolina. You got a lot of bad quarterbacks. Oh, but they're mobile. So what? They can't. The job of the quarterback is to throw the ball to the receiver. He's a good runner, but he can't throw. We've seen Lamar's act. It doesn't work. We've also seen where the other part of the job it's to score more points than the opposition, which is why you scratch your head when the coaches go on 4th down at the 5-yard line and don't get it because it's impossible. You have no field to work with. You should be kicking the field goal 100% of the time there. Get your points. That's how you win. If you score more than the other team, you win. It's a hard concept to follow. But that's why you got 10 coaches being fired because they're idiots. And the coaches they bring in I love when the coach goes from one team to the other. Harbaugh, he sucked at Baltimore, and now he's going to the Giants. You think they'll go 500 next year? I doubt it. Not with Dart. Dart's not a good quarterback. But yeah, the league is watered down, and mostly because the GMs have their head up their asses and don't know what they're doing. You're way overpaying these quarterbacks. 40, $50 million. Are you kidding me? And how many of those quarterbacks win? None. Look who's here. Denver with the Bo Nix rookie contract. New England with the Drake May rookie contract. Seattle with Darnold. Probably doesn't even have a contract. And then Stafford's the only one that makes good money that's in here. But they reshuffled it. They got pretty good rookies on defense. Pukanuka on a rookie contract. So it's keeping the cost down so you can have backups in defense and offensive line and offense. You've got to have the backups who have to be pretty good. For just your question, is Stidham good enough? I feel more comfortable with Stidham, who at least has played a little bit, but he played at Auburn against Alabama and Georgia. I mean, I feel more comfortable with him than some guy out of East Tennessee State, like Trey Lance, who played Division II ball, who's never played in the pros because he stinks. So I feel much better with him. He played on San Diego the last game of the year, and they got 3 points. But that's Trey Lance. He's not but he can run. Yeah, how did that work out? Oh, yeah, they got 3 points. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of bullshit. You must understand that. So that's the problem. So certain teams just don't get it. They let's go on fourth down, don't kick the field goals, the Bears, and it costs them the game. The Bears win if they kick the field goal from the 5-yard line and they don't go on fourth down. 3 minutes left, 17-13. You scored the touchdown. It's 20. And had you kicked the other field goal earlier in the game, it would have been 17-16. And all you would have needed at the end was a field goal, and you were in field goal range. So you should have won it in regulation 19-17 if you just kick your field goals. What is this thing of going for it on fourth down? I don't get it, but it's the same thing. Well, let's have a running quarterback. These are all idiots. These are not smart people running these teams. This is why Mahomes wins all the time. He's the fox beating the sheep. It ain't Andy Reid. It's Mahomes. It wasn't Belichick. It was Brady who would win all those games. Brady was the winner. Belichick was not. When Belichick didn't have Brady, he sucks. Look at him in North Carolina. He sucks. So, I mean, it's the player, right? It's the guy with the Mahomes. That's why I'm surprised Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, if he could ever stay healthy, they would look. When he came back, they started winning. So anyway, that's the key to it. And again, Drake May, okay, he beat Houston, which is a very good team, but he beat them at home. And the first week he beat San Diego at home. So give him credit for that. So he is winning the play. The Houston game showed me he's decent. It's 28-16, but it was a pick six, so it was 21. And that's where the defense just kind of dominated. And C.J. Stroud with his head up his ass. I don't think Stidham will make the same stupid throws that C.J. Stroud did. Put it that way. I don't think so. I think Sean Payton will find what he's good at and do it, and that's where the coach comes in. So I think it's a good game. Let's look at the lines. So we got New England 4.5, 5, 41.5, 42. Actually, let me go to my score and odds because it gives me all my casinos. Boom, boom, boom. So we got 4.5s. There is 5s. there's 4.5s, 4.5s, and a 5. So it's mostly 4.5 and 5. With the total, there's 42s. There's 42, 42.5. So let's call it, well, we can still call it 5 and, I don't know, 42. So people are starting to bet on Denver. They're understanding Stidham. So I think Denver it's a live home dog. They're the number 1 seed. They have well, I'm not going to say they have a killer defense. Their defense is 21, but they've been really weak the last 4 or 5 games. Seattle 2.5, 46.5. It's about the same. 46.5, 47. Is there a 3 or are we all at 2.5? 2.5. Yeah, it's all 2.5s. Total 46.5 and 47. So we'll call it 46.5 for our purposes. Your free play is over. I don't know who's betting this game under. They have to have their head examined. This is not an under game. But again, this is where we're critical thinking it, not using formulas. Looking at the last game they played, what? I think it was 37-36, 38-37. Seattle's defense isn't going to handle Stafford and Pukanuka. They couldn't in the first 2 games. They're not going to do it this time. I got the Rams winning 27-24 because Stafford's been there and Darnold chokes. And until Darnold shows you he can handle it, he can't. Forget last week. Last week was not a pressure game. Frisco didn't blitz him that much. He still didn't do much. Their defense kind of dominated. You're not dominating Stafford, Pukanuka, and Sean McVay. You're not, just like you're not going to dominate Sean Payton at Denver, you're not going to dominate the Rams. The Rams have already shown you. I watched the highlights of the game that they just played week 16. And the Rams had receivers open all over the place. Stafford just ate them alive. It's the same thing. I watched that 2-point play again. The ball was not going backwards. The ball was going parallel, first of all, which is not backwards. It was never caught. The guy knocks it down. It's an incomplete pass. What kind of fucked up rule allows an incomplete pass to be recovered in the end zone for 2 points because we think it's a lateral even though it wasn't backwards? What a joke. Rams got so screwed. They should be the 1 seed, but okay. Then they lost to Atlanta because they were in shock that they lost. Watching the game, he throws it from the 5 to the 4. It was never backward. At best, it was even. Let's say the 4.5 to the 4.5. It's knocked down. It's incomplete. He just happened to knock it down and it rolled in the end zone versus going back to the 10. And nobody would have went after it at the 10 either. If it went back to the 10, nobody would have recovered it because it's an incomplete pass. So that was a joke. But anyway, so it was 30-30 at the end of regulation, then a couple of overtime touchdowns. So it's still a 60. You need a 40 here. It's a joke. It'll go way over 40. Like I said, 27-24 is 51. I think that's what you're looking at. So free play here is take the over in the game. I think you can take the Rams as a dog. I think you can take Denver getting over 10 as a live dog at home. And I think the over in that game, it's up to 42, 36, 20-16 is way, I think New England can score on Denver because Denver's defense isn't that good. 35 to the Giants. You gave up a ton of points to a couple of Jacksonville lit you up. Green Bay lit you up. You did win the Green Bay game, but they lit you up good too. Not that Drake May is, well, I don't know. I don't know if he's as good as Josh Love, who's not very good anyway. Um, but they're giving up a lot of points, right? The Giants, New England, Jacksonville. So right there, they gave up, or not New England, the Giants, Green Bay, and Jacksonville put up over 30 on them, right? So yeah, New England gets running. They get moving. They're pretty good at scoring. And again, they got, 28 was so again, take that away. So they really scored 21 on Houston's defense, which is like putting up 35 on most other defenses. They're pretty good here. The defense of Denver, like I say, is not as strong as it looks. Judging those 3 games, which is what you got to judge. And now, how good is New England's defense against Denver? Houston put up 16, and if CJ Stroud's putting up 16 on you, it's not all that, and they'll be in Denver, and they're going to be just going for air. So it's going to be very tough on them. So that's why I like the over in this game. At the time, 41 was 35. That's what I bet. And then I think Denver is a very live dog here. That's what I think. I think they're fine. It's just Drake May. They're not going to go to Denver and win. But look at the Raiders lost in Denver in 77. So they win the Super Bowl finally, beating the Vikings because Pittsburgh, Franco Harris and Blyer didn't play in the game because they were injured, and they finally beat Pittsburgh. But then the next year, they couldn't win at Denver. I mean, it was like, really? You let Craig Morton beat you? Pretty pathetic. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's check the weather. Now, we're supposed to get 20 below. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday. And we're supposed to get 10 inches of snow here in Detroit. It's a Arctic snow. It's probably from Putin. Putin's making us cold because he wants to sell his natural gas for heat. All right, the game in Denver as of now, it's 14 degrees, 5-mile-an-hour winds. It's getting cold there. 15 in the second quarter, 15 in the third, 15 in the fourth. Now, people that think wind's the only thing are missing if it's very, very cold. So it's going to be 15 and 6. Is it too cold? I don't think so. I think the Green Bay Chicago game was about this weather. It's about 15, 16. Where you really draw the line is when it's, like last week it was 0, or it was probably 5 below in Chicago. Then you're not getting a lot of points. And how you got 37, I don't know. But here, 15, it's cold, but not terrible. There's really no wind. In the other game in Seattle, 38 1-mile-an-hour wind, 36 1. So it's very reasonable. 35 and no wind. So that's going to help our over, and it's going to help Stafford. So that game is not a problem. The Denver game's getting cold, but we'll have to see how cold it gets by Sunday. Now, I've already played the game over, which I think even in the cold they'll be able to move. It's clear and not wind, so I think we'll be okay. They're okay. New England just played a cold game with Houston, and then Denver. It's at Denver, so they're used to the cold. So that's my point there. Will J.K. Dobbins play? I don't know. Who knows? Probably not. If he does, how good's he going to be? He's been out, injured, the broken leg. Is that coming back and doing hand sprints? Do I think the teams were better back in the day? Oh, absolutely. I think the coaching was 1,000 times better. Lombardi, Chuck Noll. I thought Don Shula was a choke. He had John Unitas. He couldn't win with him. Uh, Joe Gibbs, Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh, John Madden. I didn't think John Madden was a great coach. I thought he was a good coach, but he was no Chuck Noll or Bill Walsh or any of those. He never had a good enough defense, and he never had a running game, and that's why Oakland never did anything until they got Marcus Allen. Beating Minnesota was just kind of a fluke. Pittsburgh was injured. Otherwise, Pittsburgh would have beat them in the championship game again. But they never really had a running attack. Mark Van Egan and Mother Hubbard were just average. They weren't Franco Harris. They weren't Gale Sears. I mean, they weren't players like that. So I think Lombardi, great defense, very balanced offense. Bart Starr, who wasn't great, but he didn't turn the ball over, decent receivers, decent running backs. So Lombardi won because he had 5 Hall of Famers on defense, but he was smart. He chose them. He made roster moves all over the place till he found the players he wanted. And Bill Walsh won with Montana with Bill Ring at running back and Dwight Clark and Freddie Solomon. I mean, Dwight Clark was good, but he was no Jerry Rice. How the hell did they get Jerry Rice is unbelievable. But anyway, I think those players, Parcells, I think it was Joe Gibbs. Jimmy Johnson was the king. Now who's your best coach? It sure as shit ain't Andy Reid. Andy Reid, we saw him at Philadelphia. He couldn't win it. This was before Mahomes. He had Donovan McNabb, but he never won anything. He'd lose. He lost 5 times in the NFC championship game, got to the Super Bowl and lost to Brady. But it wasn't even really that close. The Harbaughs are not good coaches. Everybody's going like gaga over this Mike McDaniel. Oh, make him the offensive coordinator of the Lions. I don't see anything in him that I'd want him as my offensive coordinator or as my coach. He was a towel boy at San Francisco. Oh, we need him in San Diego is going to suck next year. He's certainly not all that. So I don't buy that at all, this McDaniel, but look how bad these coaches are. I don't see too many. You got the Lions guy as the Jets head coach. Ben Johnson, he's just a good offensive guy. So he's like maybe Eric Coryell. Is he that smart? I don't think so. I think everything was much better. If you watch 70s and 80s NFL, even the late 60s, the Packers. I was watching the Raider Chief that where the Raiders dominated, but then the Chiefs won in '69 to get to the Super Bowl. Those were great teams. Those were great coaches. Hank Stram. The best coach I'm going to say is Sean Payton, and then Sean McVay. And I mean, if I look at these playoff teams, Houston's coach is terrible. Pitt's coach, I thought, was decent, but he didn't have the players. Buffalo's coach, they fired. Denver's coach, Sean Payton's good. I don't like Shanahan. He's a choke. Seattle, I don't even know who this coach is. I never heard of him. The Rams with McVay, he's probably number 2. Ben Johnson, just an offensive guy. New England, Vrabel, he sucked at Tennessee. A good coach can win on any team. Like Parcells then went to New England and he won, and then he went to Dallas and he won. And Jimmy Johnson went from Miami, Florida college to Dallas Cowboy. He won and won and won. That's a good coach. He can win anywhere. He gets his players in, and off he goes. He did the Herschel Walker trade, and they got 5 guys who started for the draft picks. So I think the coaching sucks. The quarterback play is terrible. Okay, we got Mahomes and Burrow. I'm not putting Josh Allen in that class. I'm not goo gaga. The guy fumbled the ball 3 times in a playoff game. I'm not goo gaga for Josh Allen. Besides that, Stafford, I'll put in that class. So you got Stafford, you got Burrow, you got Mahomes, and that's it. Lamar is not a good quarterback. Josh Allen is okay. For now, he's good, but if you put him back in the 80s, he was nothing. Basically, I just think that it's too much with this analytics. Oh, we're supposed to go on 4th down. You watch football in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They never did this. They only did it once in a blue moon if they had to. I bet you Chuck Noll never went for it on 4th down unless it was like the end of the game or something. At their own 30, they are punting. Actually, you saw that in I was watching the Steeler-Raider game yesterday, the 1975 championship game in Pittsburgh with all the ice. And there was a 4th and 1 at the 40. Franco Harris just missed the 1st down. They punted the ball. The Raiders, they punted the ball. It's not even an option to go for it on 4th down. I don't get what they're trying to do or anything. It's just stupidity. It's like these guys on Comex shorting silver when it's the most demanded thing, and yet you see, like yesterday, it went down. Who in their right mind is selling the most demanded item in the world, and you're going to short it, hope the price goes down? Are you insane? Who's the idiot doing that? May I speak to him for an hour? I'd love to play poker with a guy like that who's this stupid. Anyway, I think computers are dumbing everybody down. This whole idiot videos I'm showing you where people aren't thinking, they're just looking at analytics or algorithms. I know we have some guys here who want to use formulas, profit, and I just, no, you're wrong. I'm not wrong because I don't want them to believe me. If I thought a formula would work, I would have created one. They don't work. My way is so much better, but you actually have to think and know the teams and understand the teams and come to the conclusion Denver's defense is not that good because of the 3 games. But if you look at it in whole, it's a 21 or a 20. But that's 2 Oakland games and Kansas City without Mahomes. None of that counts. I'm looking at the other games. Even the Rams, they gave up 31 to Steve Young. Their defense isn't any good. Seattle will score a lot on them, but the Rams will score a lot on Seattle. You're not stopping Stafford and the fact that they won in Chicago on a freezing day. So you have all that going on. That's the whole point of it, right? So you've got to analyze. You've got to problem solve, and people don't do that anymore, including these coaches. The offensive and defensive coordinators have their heads so far up their ass, they can't even see sunlight. These guys are idiots. Look at the Lions. They can't even hire an offensive coordinator because they don't take one with experience. Who's the guy they hired? John Morton this year or whatever? The guy lasted 3 or 4 games, and then what? He didn't know what he was doing? You didn't know that before? You're too stupid to understand. Give me examples where you did this. Let me see. Where have you done that? Going to be like me interviewing for, a senior finance manager asking me about budgets, and I can't explain it. Well, I don't know what a budget is. Oh, we're going to hire Howard to do our budgets. Doesn't have the experience to do it. So, that's the big problem. These people are just not qualified to do it. These defensive coordinators do the same. Well, we'll play a zone, and, I'm the offensive coordinator. I'm the GM. We'll have a running quarterback, a mobile quarterback. so he can escape the pressure. Why don't you try getting a good offensive line and a good play call and have good running backs and have fucking balance, and your quarterback doesn't have to do that. I mean, I was watching the Ice Bowl yesterday. It was a football day yesterday. So I'm watching the Ice Bowl. Barstar is not mobile. Neither was Don Meredith. Roger Staubach wasn't. He was quick. He moved around in the pocket, but he was looking to throw. Like Fran Tarkington wasn't really a runner. He just bought time, right? So Montana wasn't a runner. Was he mobile? He could run when needed, but he was more pocket passer. So, I mean, Mahomes, pocket passer, but he can scramble a little bit. 3rd and 5, and he goes back and he sees this hole. He can run for it, but he's not a running quarterback. They all can run. They got legs. So I think that this is just a watered down version of everything in every sport. Baseball's a joke. I'm listening to the Tigers with Scooble, and he wants $40 million for 10 years. I tell him to fuck off. You're already 30 years old. You've had Tommy John surgery. You're not that good. You don't want to pitch the 7th inning. Who needs you? Mickey Lolich pitched on 2 days rest, 1968 World Series. On 2 days rest, pitched a complete game. Where's that? Where's that? Give me a guy like that. Jack Morris, the other Tiger, went to Minnesota, pitched in the World Series Game 7 against Atlanta and went 10 innings. The Tigers go, I gave you all I got. I pitched 90 pitches, 6 innings. I got to go. Jack Morris, you couldn't have got out of the only way you'd get him out of the games with a gun. He's not coming out. Where are those players? Now you got a bunch of pussies who say, I got a hangnail. I can't play. Or, oh, gosh darn it, I really try. I pitched 90 pitches. I got to come out. There's the grocery store. Why don't you go work there? I say that a lot because I used to work at a grocery store. There's the grocery store. Go work there. I was 16 at the time. I mean, that's what I would say. I would not sit there and I don't want him on my team. And I certainly don't want him for $40 million for 10 years. What a terrible investment. And why are you letting the attorney dictate? This is what I offer. I will offer you 3 years, and I'd offer you $10 million with incentives. You want the Cy Young? How about, I'll tell you what, you pitch 9 innings in the games, and I'll give you another $10 million. But if you only pitch 6 innings, that's all you're worth is $10 million a year. And I'll give you $10 million of this crap. So you're not getting paid anything. That's the thing. All the sports, the money's too much. They're paying the guys too much. The networks with all this bullshit, all these commercials. I don't get the companies. Are they making any money without paying all this for all these commercials? I can't imagine. How many times do I need to see a Coca-Cola or McDonald's commercial? I ain't going there, and I'm not drinking that. It's poison. So sorry, you could have commercials all day. Who the hell's buying that crap? So anyway, Prophet, good morning. So yes, the whole players and coaches were better in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Nobody can compare to Lombardi. If Lombardi was playing now, he'd win the title every year because he would choose the best players, and he would. They just loved playing for him. They were a little afraid of him, but he was smart. He knew how to motivate, but he knew how to coach. He knew what plays to call. He had great defensive players because he chose Ray Nitsky and Willie Davis and Dave Robinson and the secondary of Jeter and Willie Wood. And there was another guy. They were just loaded. But he loaded them. He was the picker of the players. Now you don't have that. Dan Campbell. Well, we won't have a defense. What did Lombardi did? He had 5 Hall of Famers on his defense. The Lions have none. The GM doesn't understand it. Oh, we just want to sell tickets, so we'll have a good offense. With Jared Goff, Man, you're not having a good offense with golf. Oh, he keeps choking, doesn't he? Yeah. You lost to fucking Minnesota with Browsmer. You don't have a good team. Anyway, so that's kind of how I view it. It's much weaker now, but the principles for what we're doing still apply. Good defenses will win. The 72 Dolphins. Um, that was Jenna. So, um, yeah, it's much better. It was much better back in the day, but like I said, we have the same. The thesis is the same. The good defense will beat it. Like I was saying, the Miami Dolphins in the 70s, the only time Shula won, he stumbled into it because he had Larry Zonka. Because when he started coaching the team in 1970, they already had Zonka, and those they traded for Warfield, and then they had a bunch of nobody on defense, but they ran a zone, and nobody had saw a zone before, so they were good defensively. Plus, they got lucky; they played the Washington Redskins and the Minnesota Vikings, the two worst teams to ever be in the Super Bowl. But uh, that was how you win. If I was back in those days, we'd have cleaned up on the unders. Um, Pittsburgh, what a great under team they were until '74 when they changed the rules. But in the '60s, what a great under we would have had. Um, all those Miami games, the Packer games, where a lot of them were under. Um, so it's defense always wins. You can have a Joe Namath, even that fixed game though. Earl Morrall threw what four, he just threw a pick. So it was all turnovers. Not very good coaching by Don Shula in that game. Or yeah, he choked pretty bad in that game. But the defense always can beat the offense. Even Mahomes is going to struggle against he'd struggle against the Steelers defense. All right, put it that way. You don't have a Steelers defense now. The closest you have is Houston, but even New England got 21 on them last week. Again, when you got your quarterback throwing 4 or 5 picks, makes the defense not as strong, right? They're out on the field too long. That's why you need to run the ball and ball control, keeps your defense rested. When you got a defense like Houston with a steel curtain, or the Dolphin defense, or any of those, the Bears, you need to rest them. But they will control the game and they will win you the game. I was watching the Bear Ram championship game in Chicago. It was cold, and the Rams had a few first downs. I mean, Dickerson basically got nothing. Although they didn't, I don't know who their quarterback was. Dieter Brock. He was Canadian or something, Canadian Football League, but they just shut him down. So the key is the defense. And then if you have lucky enough to have a good quarterback. So I don't know that New England, I think they have a good defense. I don't know the quarterback. The Rams have a fairly good defense that's falling apart as Denver does. Denver had Bo Nix. Now with Stidham, we don't know, but we know they got a good defense. And in the Rams, they don't have a good defense, but they have a good quarterback. And then Seattle has a good defense, I think, with no quarterback. And so the problem lies in, well, wait, they got a good defense when they play the Jets, the Giants, Miami, and New Orleans. But when they play real teams, they don't have a good defense. And that's what's so confusing. But that's what I figured out. And that's what analytics will never show you, or a formula. will never show you. It'll all be blended. It's sort of like this analytics on going for it on fourth down. I go for it on fourth down, and I get, it's a generic macro look. It's the whole league look. So all these teams that have gone for fourth down, 51% have made it. So let's go for it. But they don't break it down to how many teams go against Philadelphia or Houston or New England. These teams with good defenses. How many first down? Seattle. How many on fourth down are you going to get first down? Probably zero. So you've got to know it's not just a macro look. It's against whom. And that's what this analytics doesn't show you, but yet it comes into the stats. And again, the teams with the best defense, 99% of the time will win, unless you got CJ Stroud as your quarterback throwing 5 interceptions in a playoff game. That's coaching. I don't like their coach. Good defensive coach should be the defensive coordinator, not the head coach. Not with that offense, and not with CJ Stroud. You're not winning with CJ Stroud. Ohio State didn't win with CJ Stroud. Why? At least if you get a guy who's won in college. Okay, this Mendoza, okay, he's okay. He's not great. But, that's why I bitch about Stenson Benson. He won 2 national championships at Georgia, and he's the backup to Stafford. So he did win in college. But, I mean, CJ Stroud didn't win shit at Ohio State. And why are you expecting him to do good in the pros? He's not going to do good. Jim Kelly's never won anything. Beating Baltimore last year was not a big win. All I know is he never beat Mahomes. Now you can add he couldn't win in Denver. So, again, he's a good talent. He runs too much. I can't believe he didn't get hurt yet. He should be sliding. He doesn't. So I don't buy Josh Allen's all that. He's a good quarterback. I think, again, a lot of the talent he plays against is really, the Jets in Miami twice a year. Yeah, anybody can be good with that. But the key is to analyze and problem solve the game, not using formulas. You use you have no idea how to formula anything. Even if you just look at the stats, well, they score 30 a game and give up 20. No, you got to micro that. You got to go, is that against the bad teams or the good teams? How are they against the good teams? That's what I want to see, is New England against good teams. And they didn't play anybody but Buffalo and Baltimore. And I don't consider Baltimore a good team. And then you got to look at Denver. Now, they had to play Kansas City twice and San Diego twice. And they won in Philly. And, so Denver's a much more tested team. And the Rams played Seattle twice, the Niners twice. And they just went at the Bears, who were a very hot team. So they're tested. Seattle's not. They had the win over there. The Niners were all banged up. And Seattle, that was a bullshit win against the Rams on an incomplete pass. And then that was what they beat the Niners. And, yeah, that was it. So, are they all that? Their defense seems to be good, but again, they're playing weak teams, so it looks better than it is. That's why you got to get, who did Seattle beat, that you can say, oh yeah, but I'll take the Rams and Stafford and McVay in this game all day long. Profit. So I ran my AI app for the Denver New England game. It's giving me a final score of 24-20. Okay. I did factor in Denver starting a backup quarterback. How did you factor that in? No matter what you did, it can't be correct because you don't know Stidham. You don't know what to factor him, right? Their defense is not all that, which is probably incorrect. 24-20, yeah, I think it'll be around there, but without using an app. I think using an app's absolutely a joke. Again, I come up with the scores based on what I think. So I got 27-24 LA. It's not an app. It's me. You can't factor in Stidham? What do you factor him at? No matter what your number you use, it's incorrect because you don't know. You don't know if he's very good or very bad. So how can you possibly factor him in? I think it'll be a close game, and I think it'll be in the 20s. So that from that, the 24-20, I think is probably close. I think Denver could easily win the game being at home because of Sean Payton. How many points do you give Sean Payton over Vrabel? I mean, he should be a touchdown easy over Vrabel. How do you factor in Drake May? You know, so I mean that's why I would never use AI. It's a joke. You know, and this is exactly I did factor in Denver starting a backup quarterback, which is impossible. That whole statement's impossible. You can't possibly do it. And your formula, you know, I don't know. I gave you Chicago 20, the Rams 17, and it was 20-17, just switched. That was me. That wasn't AI. I don't use that crap. AI is bullshit. Is it possible to add any parameter you want? But you don't know how to score the parameters. It's going to be 15 degrees there. How do you put that in? Where's the weather one? What did you use for the Bear game last week? Did you put in 20-17? I'll bet $1 million you didn't come close to that score. You can't, you gotta, okay, oh, it's going to be 0 degrees. And how do I put that in? The injuries, how do you put that in? The Bears are strong at home. Denver is 17-1 at home the last 2 years and 17-1 this year in a teaser. However, that's with Bo Nix. New England's 18-1 in a teaser. But we got cold and 15 degrees. Probably won't hurt either team. New England's used to the cold and Denver's playing at home. So I don't think that'll be that big a deal, the 15. I think if it gets down under 5, then your model blows up. Now you won't have weather. LA, Seattle, very, very low wind, slight chance of rain in the 30s. So that's not going to be a weather game. You know, now you might have J.K. Dobbins back. How are you putting that in your formula? There's too much variables to even try to use an AI formula. Let me see if I can factor for weather. Well, if you don't know, if you didn't do it, then your whole model is ridiculous. Letting AI pick your games is just like letting AI tell you to go on 4th down and go for 2 and everything like that. It's the same thing. It's all bullshit. You should be able to pick if you can't look at the game and pick it, you shouldn't be betting because you have no chance. No. Hey, Nick, learned a while ago the formulas don't work. Yeah, I talked you out of that, didn't I, Nick? You've got to understand everything because you understand it. You can't put it in a formula and kick it out and say, oh, this works. I have this guy in Vegas, one of my customers, and he's got some little last line formula or something, and he uses formulas. And I picked the Atlanta was playing somebody, and I picked the game and it won. And he says, "How did you pick it?" I says, "Because Michael Penix is good." And Michael Penix was playing well, and they were a dog, and the team that was playing was a very weak favorite. And I do what the model tells me. Meanwhile, try to pick over and unders with the model. Forget it. All right. I'm looking at Denver, and what do I state that your model will never state is they gave up 34 points to the Giants, the fucking Giants. And then they gave up a ton to Green Bay and a ton to Jacksonville. That is not a 15 defense. That is a defense that's in trouble against good teams. Oh, yeah, but then they beat Oakland, and then they beat San Diego, who didn't even try. So how do you factor that in, that last game against Oakland, against Denver, San Diego, and San Diego rested all their players? Is that in your variables? I'm sure it is. It's skewing you very. I eliminate that, right? I that didn't count like I do in college when they play when Ohio State plays Grambling and they win 70-0. I don't count it. You will in your formula. You will. It doesn't work. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. So you can fight me by thinking it works. It doesn't work. What's your score on your Ram game? Are you getting 27-24 Rams? I bet you $1 million you're not close to that. It's a new model I'm trying here. I don't care. It doesn't work. It can't work. You cannot model this stuff. You have to look at what's happening. You can use the stats like I do, and I give you that LA's a B team with a 26 defense. Tells you a lot there, and Seattle's an A team with the 14. You can kind of use the points to figure out the teams, but you're not you can't bet like that. You can't just bet. Like I say, it's like the fourth down. I'm going on fourth down because the analytics say that 51% of the time in the whole league against every team it works. But if I don't get it, we lose the game, and people are still going for fourth down. Look at the Bears. They cost themselves the playoff game because they went for fourth down twice instead of kicking the field goals. And had they kicked the field goals, they win the game. If they don't kick it, they lose the game. Exactly by listening to bullshit analytics. Nick ended up going with Rams straight up versus Seahawks and Rams to win it all. Yeah, that's probably a good one. The free play is the over in the game. That's a joke. I mean, that's easy. It's giving me a weather adjusted predicted score of 20-16 Denver. No, I still like 24-20. Why is New England going to win? But when you adjust the weather, Denver's going to win, and the backup quarterback. Yeah, I'm right about the I think we're looking at about 23-24 to 20-21 was my prediction, and I think it's pretty close, but it's based on me, not no model. But it's based on Denver's defense not being that strong, but Drake May never playing, and then Trubisky, Stidham's much better than Trubisky or Pickett or Geno Smith or any of those guys. So yeah, it's going to be I think it'll be a good defense. Denver's defense will come because they don't have Bo Nix, but New England showed score on them. But I think it'll be a close game. Definitely a live dog. Both dogs are live in these playoffs. Nick, just think Rams are the best team left. Well, they're probably the best team, period. Well, I think why you like the Rams is because they won in 0-degree weather in Chicago, and the way they won, getting that interception. I don't know where Caleb was throwing. He led CJ Moore by 10 yards, and there was a guy in the secondary there closer, and whoever was doing the game was very confused. He said, "Oh, it looked like DJ Moore didn't even try." He did try. It's cold out. And but the defender was in front. Here's the defender, and here's DJ Moore, and they're running this way. Well, DJ Moore has no chance, and the ball's thrown 5 yards over there. So I don't know what Caleb was thinking. Well, I don't know if he can think. It was a terrible pass in overtime. It's like CJ Stroud. He doesn't understand you got the best defense in football, Houston. Don't turn it over, especially at your own 10-yard line, a blue pass that the guy runs in for a touchdown. You've got the best defense. It's like Joe Namath used to throw all these interceptions, and they started bitching at him going, "We're wearing green next week. Like, we have the best defense in the league. Stop throwing the interceptions." But he's got an ego, and he wants to throw 5 touchdowns a game. And that's the thing. I think Caleb thinks he's better than he is, and C.J. Stroud should be back at Ohio State because he's not a good pro quarterback. I can say that over and over and over. When they lose, he's throwing all these interceptions on stupid plays. You're about to get sacked. Get sacked. If you're going to throw the ball away, throw the ball into the ground. Don't. What kind of throwing it up in the air so it's intercepted? You have the best defense. This is where they don't think. Stafford does think. That's why I do like the Rams. Also, he knows he's got a good defense. He also knows he's got the best receiver in the game, Pukanuka. So he knows that. He knows Seattle. He's seen them twice. They put up 38, or well, it's 30-30 going to overtime. They put up 30 on this. This isn't the Niners with no players because they're all injured. And Brock Purdy, and they got 3 points, 3 and 6 points. This is the Rams. And again, I think the mental toughness for winning that game in the freezing cold. All I know is I went to the gym before the game, and it was freezing here. It couldn't have been more than 5. And all I could think about is, I don't know how these guys can play 3.5 hours in this weather. You got to be out of your fucking mind. I mean, I was running to get into the gym to get warm and then running into my car because it was fucking freezing. The wind was really roasting. If the Rams can win in the cold weather, they got mental toughness now. And if you notice, there hasn't been a playoff game in a dome. Now, the Rams were there in Houston, but they weren't in the dome. Every game's been on grass. There's a reason these dome teams don't do much. Now, we'll give the Rams credit. Winning Chicago was huge, especially the way Chicago's been playing. If you watch that last touchdown, what was the cornerback doing? First, I thought maybe he got pushed and there's offensive pass interference. That's why the guy was open, but I didn't really. He just kind of went to the goal line and the tight end went to the back of the end zone. He should never have been that open. Where was the contempt? What were these guys in the end zone doing? I mean, can't they read the play going, well, Caleb's going backwards. Oh, here comes Cole Kmet over here. Maybe I should guard him. Yeah, something, just think about what is going on and reacting to it. The boat hit the iceberg. Maybe I need to get to the lifeboat because it's going to sink because the water's coming in. So Caleb's dropping back and this guy's running this pattern. Maybe I should get over where he's at. I mean, it boggles the mind. But I think the Rams, with Stidham, if Bo Nix could play, I would think that Denver and the Rams, and that would be a good game. Be a high-scoring one. With Stidham, Drake May, he's not going to be able to handle the pressure. He didn't do anything in college. They didn't win the ACC ever, so I don't even get this guy. And then the Seattle, you're asking Darnold to win a big game. That ain't going to happen. So he didn't win the game last week. Let's get that straight. It was Walker, the running back, and the defense and the turnovers that won that game, okay? He didn't do anything. He happened to be the quarterback. It's like Jalen Hurts. He didn't win the Super Bowl. That was the defense. That was my Georgia boys that won the Super Bowl last year. They made him the MVP. You got to be kidding me. And he had an attitude on him this year. He thought his shit didn't stink, but he's not good at all, Jalen Hurts. We saw that this year. John C. TK, is Stidham going to be turning the ball over? Well, I don't think so because you have Sean Payton. Sean Payton's going to run plays that'll be safe plays for him. Oh, they'll try to run the ball a lot. And they'll rely on their defense. He's not going to throw the ball down the middle and throw all these picks. Will he throw a pick? Maybe, but not like C.J. Stroud. He's much better than C.J. Stroud. Let's face it, C.J. Stroud's not a pro quarterback. So I think that, he might, Bo Nix would turn the ball over, but it's what do you produce? So, Namath loved throwing to the wrong team thanks to his mob buddies. I don't know about that. Sure, they all have mob buddies, the good players. But when you throw 5 interceptions, when you're favored by 19, you're supposed to still win the game and not throw 5 picks. I can see a pick in the end zone so you don't score, or just an incompletion. But I don't buy it was all because of the mob. But I do. That's always a factor. It's a factor now, as we know. So that's the thing. Do not use AI to pick football games, please. That's not only is it insulting to me, but it is not going to work. It's like the guy, oh, I'm going to short silver because it did this the last month, so I'm going to short it. No, you're an idiot. You don't short it because of the pattern. You understand that it's extremely highly in demand and it's not going to go down. It's going to $1,000 an ounce, you idiots. Well, my AI model told me to sell it because it's too high. That's the idiots selling it, I guess. But in the real world, in our world, the physical is never going down. The only time something goes down if you do not have demand. You've got record demand. Ask Pat when he comes on from Singapore. I can't believe I got a student in Singapore, right? And he says, no, there's 5-6 hour line when you go into the gold stores to buy the gold, and the price is higher. So there's huge demand in Singapore, which is China, which is Hong Kong, which is most of the world. There's high demand for it if you can even find it, and that's my point. So you can. It's very hard to find. So anyway, if you're using analytics or AI, it's because you're lazy and you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to think about it and solve the problem. I solve the problem. I solve the LA game. I guarantee you, I'm the only one that had an under lock on the game where I'm listening on the radio and these guys, oh, I got to go over. There's no big wind in the game, so I'm going to go over. Dude, it was 0. You're not going over in a 0 game. How the fuck did you not problem solve that and call yourself a fucking professional bettor and you can't even understand 0 weather? You're an idiot. So, I mean, I had 2017 Bears. It was 2017. It was 17-17 going into overtime. So I nailed the number right on. And that's the point. I can do that because I problem solve it. Just like I'm giving you 27-24. Seattle with their 14 defense is not going to shut out the Rams. If they can move in 0 weather, they're going to move in 35 and sunny weather. I don't know if it'll be sunny. It's a night game at 30, 35 and no wind. Stafford's going to eat that up. Darnell, not so much. But that's why I like the over. I really bet the over hard. As far as the Rams, I played them in a secondary teaser. And then I played Denver over because I know Stidham enough that he'll be fine. And I'm betting Denver on Sean Payton. That's period. And I'm betting Stafford over Darnold. It's very easy. That's how you problem solve. Not what does the AI bullshit tell us? I'm not picking on you, Prophet. As Nick said, I picked on him when I told him you can't do it, and he finally figured out you can't do it. So I'm trying to save you a headache of trying to pull the sword from the stone. It ain't going to happen. You're not Arthur. So be careful with that. All right, let's see. Forgot to take my picture. All right, I was watching Egon, so we're going to watch Egon
Behold.
talking about silver and the huge demand. That's the biggest key. The biggest key is understanding everything is the market. Um, in other words, if you want to have a business and you want to sell a product, is there a demand for the product, first of all? Before I even make it, is there a demand? And usually, well, somebody else is selling it. Okay, Coca-Cola is selling it, so there's a demand for pop. Okay. And then you see what they're selling it for, because you have to know is can you make the product enough to make profit? So can I make it for $1 to sell it for 3? Or maybe it cost me 10, I got to sell it for 20. Like my coffee mug, okay, probably cost me $10. Can I sell it for 20? I paid 20 for that. That's the key to it, right? Is what's it going to cost you, and what can you make? Can you make profit on it? And as long as there's demand and you can fit the cost is under your selling price, then you make the product. Well, what's happening? So it's always about, do you have demand for it, right? Is there demand, and at what price? And with silver, is there demand for it? Absolutely. It's selling like hotcakes, as is gold. Now, the reason is because of the dollar, not just like, oh, I want a coffee mug, or I want whiskey, or I want glasses, or I want this shirt. Demand. Oh, I can just make more. You can't make more silver. It's only what comes out of the ground. So the demand is high. Is the demand higher than what's in the ground? And the answer is yes. You have a shortage. Not that the silver, I have silver. So from the standpoint of shortage, well, I have it. I haven't used it. From a material standpoint, I haven't shot a Tomahawk missile and now there goes the 500 ounces of silver. I haven't done that, but the silver it's out, it's gone, right? So it's only what they can dig out of the ground, which is nothing, versus the demand. China's going right to the mines and buying the crap right out of the mine, as is Russia, as is India. They're just going right to the mines because they don't trust comex. And they're probably offering like $150, $200 an ounce for it. But it's hard because they're buying the raw material, the raw silver. They take it to Switzerland to refine it and make nice little coins and bars. So if there's a huge demand for it over the supply, and you got to realize China and Russia and India and Saudi Arabia, they've been buying it and buying it and buying it. Look at me and you. We've been buying it and buying it and buying it when it was available. Now it's becoming less available, but did the demand drop because you can't get it? No, the demand's super high because, again, you've got to get out of this. So the demand for this isn't there. This is worthless. So it leaves you with one choice. I have to get out of it and get into something limited. Oh, wait, but there's no silver to buy. Well, I'll pay more for it. Yeah, it's $40 an ounce. I'll pay 50 for it. I'll pay 60 for it because I have to get out of the dollar. If I stay in the dollar, I'm going to zero. So I'm fucked if I stay in the dollar. So I got to get out of the dollar. So now a little panic and frenzy starts happening. And we've bid the price up, but there's still more demand for it. And now the company's going, well, I need it for my computers and my phone, Apple, I need it for the phones, solar panel, whatever it is. I need the silver for that because that's all I can use. I know Mr. Wonderful said, oh, they can substitute with copper. No, you can't. That's the point. You have to have silver. It's the best conductor for electricity. So, yeah, they might be able to substitute normally, but not in this case. Silver is the only thing that can be used. There is no substitute. Sorry, Mr. Wonderful. You're a fucking idiot. With your $25 silver. He says $25. It's in the 90s. He's $25. Yeah, he knows what's going on. But it's about, why do we buy it now? Because we can't be in the dollar. And then we get the kicker. There's huge demand and low supply. And that's why the price is going up. So not only are we out of the dollar, not losing it, Well, we got the demand for it. And when we have the high demand, it's going to raise the price. So it's a double kicker. So why would we sell it? Give me a reason why the formula gets changed. And don't listen to AI, because AI can't think like that. Do an AI poll. What do you think the price of silver will be? What, $70, $80? Is it going to factor in the inflation, the dollar being worthless, the huge demand for silver, and the low supply? Is AI going to figure that out? Bullshit. Is it important to factor in the night parameters when trying to handicap a game with AI? Of course. I have no fucking idea. I can't tell you about AI. I don't like it. I'll never use it. I don't need it, and I don't want it. So you're I don't know what you're doing, Prophet. You're trying to problem solve something the wrong way. It's never going to work. Nick just told you that, because we had our talks before. He wanted to do analytics or formulas. You can't. That's not how you formula it. So you can't look at it like that. TK, who you got in the NBA games? I don't even watch NBA. They're all fixed. Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Well, that's the real Mr. Wonderful. I don't know this guy, this bold guy on Shark Tank. From what I listened to, I threw up. This guy's on Shark Tank, and he thinks silver's $25 when it's 90, and he thinks that it's a rock and it just sits there and it doesn't do anything. He wants his soldiers to march on Germany or whatever. Like, what's he talking about? So this is why I tell you to be careful who you listen. I don't like Ray Dalio, and everybody would listen to him as a prophet. I don't buy he knows what he's talking about. Or Peter Schiff or Andy Scheckman or any of those. This is the guy we'd listen to, is Egon, and a little Mark McGuire. Mark McGuire had a good show last time. All right, so let's listen to Egon. At least he doesn't call himself like Stone Cold, whatever his name is.
The precious metals are continuing their explosive rise, as we have forecast during much of last year. And some people might remember that back in December, we made it clear to investors that next move is a move through the $50 line for silver. Now, we had $50 in 1980. We had $50 in 2011. Both times they were rejected and silver came down dramatically. And now we went to $50 for the third time in December, and we were very clear that this time we're going to break through. And I also made it clear that we're not going to break through slowly, but we're going to go through 60, 70, 80, 90. And that's where we are now.
Well, first of all, what he doesn't say are the variables have changed. He doesn't point that out. What, 2008 it was 50 or whatever, 2011, and we're going to do it now. Well, the variables have changed. It's called BRICS. BRICS is buying the shit out of it, and then you have these new products, a cell phone and the solar panels and computers and whatever else that needs medical supplies, that needs silver. So the demand for silver has gone up, but what's happened is the supply is way down because Russia and China and India and Dubai are buying the shit out of it. So it's limited anyway, but now it's being bought. And now the supply is zero out there. Yeah, it's still there. I mean, it's in China's banks, and Russia, it's in Putin's swimming pool, and that's fine. So it's still there, but it's not available. So there's, I have my 2 ounces of silvers here, but it's not available. I'm not giving it away. We start with 3 zeros behind the one for me to start selling it, right? Because that's what it's really worth, $1,000, because of all this suppression. So I don't know that he understands the variables have changed or whatever he wants to call it, because that's what's happened, right? Variables have changed. It's worth a lot more because the supply has dwindled to zero. And now the demand's cooking up. Not only the industrial use, but us, people like us who understand inflation, who got to get out of the dollar, who then go and buy physical silver to protect ourselves. And that's also gone up and is about to go way up once the UK and the euro start realizing their money's worthless. So the more China's already figured it out, right? According to our guy Pat, there's 6-hour lines at the gold store if they even have any more gold to sell. So the demand's picking up in China. I assume Japan also. Australia, there isn't any. So all these countries, there isn't the silver to buy. So the price has to go up. So again, these variables he doesn't really get into because I don't think he understands it. He just knows the dollar's worth. He understands the dollar's worthless. So he understands inflation, I believe. He did say that it's not prices going up. So he's been listening. But that's what you have. Much more demand and very low supply. Prices skyrocket. So they kind of broke comex, which has always been paper and suppressed the price, has broken, which he doesn't say. And that's kind of, so he's trying to pat himself on the back. I told you, well, shit. In 2020, I told you gold would be 10,000 an ounce. Should I pat myself on the back when it hits 10,000? No, that's not the point of it. The point was to buy it. And the point was to get out of the dollar. And we hoped it would get up there.
Around 90. And of course, the next magic barrier is $100. I don't think silver will stay long at $100 either. It might be rejected a couple of times. It's not a resistance as such. It's just a nice round number. And that number will be broken too, because the fundamentals are so much in favor of silver. We have a physical demand that has widely outpaced the physical production of silver. In the last 5 years, we've had a deficit every year that's been made up in the futures markets primarily. Now, this is the big problem for silver. The outstanding paper contracts in London and in New York are of such magnitude, they cannot be fulfilled by any existing stock in silver because there isn't any stock of any significance. Therefore, this is a fundamental change. Some viewers might remember the late 1970s when silver quickly climbed from a few dollars up to $50. This was primarily speculation by the Hunt brothers, and of course the market could quickly sell enough paper silver to...
Why do people keep bringing that up? That has nothing to do with what's happening now. It's very confusing. The Hunt brothers weren't intelligent enough to buy physical. They bought on margin. I think they bought some physical, but they bought paper. And what the fuck? I am not recommending to buy any paper. I'm saying is you buy physical and physical only. So why do we keep bringing up the Hunt brothers? What is the point of that? I don't see a point.
Crash the price, and it didn't stay long at $50. This time, any selling that is attempted by bullion banks fails. And we've seen many times being sold in the evening, and within a few hours, it's back up again. And this has happened last week again. Friday evening was sold off and then quickly went up to $90. I think we're quickly going to see $100 and more already in the Far East and in Australia, like the Perth Mint. So selling now silver at over $100. So the price in London and in New York will have to follow. So what does that mean for the ordinary investors? Well, it clearly means that silver is just starting the move. And we are going to see, as I have stressed many times, we are going to see multiples of the current price. Will it correct? Of course. Silver always corrects, but this is not a normal market.
All right. Again, he's talking paper. Silver corrects in the paper, in the comex market, not in the physical market. It's not going to correct. The Montana card at 110,000 is not correcting. That's the price, 110. I see some $75,000, $80,000 prices for the PSA 10 rookie, but that's just because people might need the money. But I still see 110, 120 grand for that card. In the physical world, the price should not correct. In the COMEX paper, let's play games with paper, it'll correct as it's doing today, or yesterday, where it went down to 91, but now we see it at 95. So people are waiting for the correction and buying it. There's too much buying and not enough selling, and there's going to be nobody left to short it because they'll have to cover, and there's not enough silver to cover. So he's saying there's all these silver can't be paid back. Well, then why is COMEX even existing if they can't pay back the silver? What the fuck's he talking about?
Because it's now turned into a physical market, which is what it should always be, rather than manipulation that we have seen in paper markets. So physical demand has gone from 10% of production to now 50% in the last year. That is a massive increase in demand, obviously stemming from solar panels, electric cars, electrical products, electronic products, and also, of course, from defense contracts. Every missile uses quite a lot of silver, and all other electronic products and weapons use a big amount of silver. Now, so the demand is there on the physical side, and the demand is there on the investment side, and the production just isn't there to satisfy this demand. We've had deficits for the last 5 years. Those deficits are going to increase. This is why there will be constant demand for silver, and it is probable in the next year or two that there will be failure in some markets, whether that will be in the London market and some bullion bank will go under, whether that will be on COMEX, we don't know. But the risk is very high. So it is obviously absolutely important for investors to hold nothing but physical silver. Buy physical and hold it outside the banking system, not within the banking system. Don't buy ETFs, don't buy any futures. Hold physical silver and keep it in a safe storage, in a safe vault like we do for clients, and keep it.
This is why you can't use AI. Could AI describe that or describe what I'm talking about? Very, very high demand, very, very low supply. That's it. Does AI know that? No. AI is, I don't know what AI is. It's all bullshit. To listen to that makes me throw up because it's not real. They're just taking little comments. So they might listen to me and then they assume from listening to me. So they're just repeating what I'm saying. And then you say, oh, it's AI said this and that. So I don't buy that. But again, you shouldn't use it. So again, we're in the same situation. Extremely high demand and extremely low supply, and the demand's not going anywhere. It's needed in industrial use, and it's needed by people like us who are getting out of the dollar. We don't buy tons, but the banks do. All the banks are buying tons and tons of silver. Again, China's got 80,000 tons of gold. I would imagine they have more silver because it's cheaper. So we will see, but Russia's buying the shit out of silver. India is, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, all these countries who know that it's real money and are getting out of dollars are buying gold and silver. And as gold becomes too expensive, they'll be buying the silver. And again, there is no supply. And that is the key. And that's why we keep buying it. That's why we don't sell it now. We're not worried if it does a little dipsy-do of $2 yesterday, but then it's 95 today. I still am hoping for 100 by tomorrow's show. I hope when I come on, it's 99 or 100. Yeah, it's going to pull back to 98 and then 99, and it's going to sing and dance for a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 days, and then once we see 105, 110, next stop 200, like we do with gold. Gold, it's gonna, it'll never hit 3,000. 3,000, 3,500, 4,000. And then it blew through the 4,000s, a little bit of hesitation. And then 42, 43, 45, 46, 47, 48. And it probably hits 49 on its way to 5,000 in a week. And then here it goes, because it's the same principle. High demand, low supply creates high prices. And it creates value. The value of the silver is not $95. It's much higher. The value of the gold is not really 4,875 or whatever it started this class with, it's much higher because that's a paper value. And we're dealing in the physical world, which is at least 10 times higher or more physical than there is than the paper. The paper are they're watering it down. With 5, you buy 5 ounces, we give you 100 in the paper world, and we give you this price. Well, that's bullshit. 5 is 5. You can't do it on margin buying physical. I can't go to my guy's store and say, gosh darn it, I'll give you $100 for the $4,900 an ounce gold. Yeah, probably not gonna. I probably need the 4,900 to buy the gold, and that's why it's beauty. There's no margin, and once you got it, and it's way undervalued. And that's the thing. And that's just using knowledge. It's not an AI statement or anything. I'd be embarrassed if I gave you a football pick using AI. I'd probably have to quit.
Outside the banking system. Now, there are, of course, many other factors that influence the price of the metals. Gold is also going up, but as I have made clear for quite a while, silver will go twice as fast as gold in coming years. Now, the gold-silver ratio has gone from over 100 to about 50 now. The long-term ratio is probably going to be around the 15 level initially, but I wouldn't be surprised to see even lower than that, that being a natural level. But now I think the demand is of such magnitude and the supply so minuscule that silver could easily go under 15. That is, the gold-silver ratio could easily go under 15.
All right, there's no such thing as a gold-silver ratio. It's just made up bullshit. They're each commodities. They each sell based on their own markets. The gold market is going up higher because gold's the gold standard, right? But if the demand for silver keeps going, silver could be more expensive than gold. This whole 15, 20, 25 to 1 is just bullshit. These guys have no idea what they're talking about. It is not related. It's a Mantle card versus a Michael Jordan card. Are they? Jordan's always been 100 to 1. The Mantle card's been 100 to 1 to the Jordan card. Well, if all of a sudden a lot of demand for Jordan goes up, Jordan could be more expensive than Mantle. But there's more demand for Mantle than Mays, than Hank Aaron, than Jordan, than Brady, than Montana. It's just the way it is. But that's supply and demand also. But there's no ratio Montana to Rice or Montana to Tom Brady or any of that. It's just each market's separate, and then the demand in that market, this is the price. So the demand for gold is such that that's the price, but it is not, there is no relationship to gold and silver. I don't care how much comes out of the ground. It's countered by how much demand there is. And if there's more demand for silver, because you need it for missiles and defense contractors and Apple phones and all that shit, and the demand exceeds the gold demand, and the supply is very, very limited, as he's saying, it could be the other way around. Silver could end up being more expensive than gold. It's all based on the market. It's all based on the demand and the supply for both are done. Most people are buying gold for the gold standard, but when they start using silver as money, then that will also trigger it to be more demand. So this is pointless, this ratio.
To maybe 10. Many years ago, probably 10 years ago or so, I made a forecast. I've lately said that you shouldn't make forecasts because they're meaningless, but forecast was just playing with figures and saying basically gold is absolutely going to reach $10,000 because that is a magic figure. And that was already 15 years ago or more. I said that.
Now,
I'm absolutely convinced we'll see $10,000 for gold. What does that mean for silver? If you take the gold-silver ratio at 15, which is an historical, quite important level, then you divide 10,000 by 15, you get 666. So a minimum we would see with silver, in my view, is $666. And we could easily see a ratio of 10, which means silver would go to $10,000 divided by 10, $1,000. And that could only be the initial levels. Remember that we're now reaching the end of a paper money era and moving into real money and real assets period. that means that people will want to hold physical products, physical gold, physical silver, physical assets in general, and paper assets will decline dramatically. Some viewers might have seen an article I've written about a stadium that you fill up with water. Start with 1 drop, double it every minute to 2, 4, 8, etc. And then the question is, how long does it take to fill the stadium full? It actually only takes 50 minutes. But the interesting thing is that after 45 minutes, the stadium is only 7% full. So the final 5 minutes, it goes from 7% to 100%. And this is, as I have explained before, this is how I see the markets in gold and silver and in fall of the dollar happening, where you're going to see exponential moves either on the downside or on the upside, but in the metals will clearly be on the upside. Therefore, gold and silver will move at a speed that no one can believe. The people who trade technically and look at stochastics or RSI or momentum or whatever, they are going to fail, because if you use the conventional tools, they're not going to work in the market where there's the physical market that determines it, and that where the demand outpaces the supply in such a major way. So therefore, it's dangerous to use physical tools. Of course, we're going to see corrections on the way. It's not going to be a straight line, but I don't expect corrections like we saw in 1980, for example, or even in 2011. I think the corrections will come. I don't think we're ready for a major correction yet. There will be smaller ones, but not a major one. Will maybe come later in 6 months' time or so. So now is the time to acquire silver and gold. We recommend to our clients the ratio between silver and gold, about 70% gold, which is the king of metals, and that is less volatile. That's why you should hold more gold than silver, but up to 30% in silver, or maybe a little bit more of your total metals holding, is responsible, and you are going to see the move of a lifetime. But remember, you are not buying silver or gold for speculative purposes or to make money. You're buying it to protect your wealth against the total destruction of wealth that we're going to see in the next few years. That is the destruction of paper wealth that is now at levels which are unprecedented in history, because money printing has been unprecedented and lending has been unprecedented. Countries will go bust, banks will go bust in America, in Europe, whether it's due to property market, whether it's commercial markets, or people not being able to pay their loans. It doesn't matter. Many banks will go under. Governments and central banks are going to print unlimited amounts of money, and therefore the value of your dollar or your euro or your pound is going to collapse, and that will be reflected in a much higher gold price. So please, it's not too late yet, because we're going to see major moves ahead. So please buy physical gold, buy physical silver, store it safely outside the banking system. We help clients with saving in bigger amounts of gold and silver in our Swiss mountain vaults or in vaults in Singapore. So please buy gold and silver. Think of your family and think about preserving generational wealth rather than destroying now your wealth in paper money, which is going to be the case if you leave it in paper money. I expect stock markets to decline by at least 90% against gold and silver, probably more, maybe 95, maybe even more. So therefore, don't stay in the conventional paper markets. Hold real assets and hold them outside the banking system, and hold them in a safe jurisdiction. Remember, there will be capital controls around the world. So you want to stay out of capital controls also by having them stored in countries that are not affected by that. Thank you.
So we are not to profit take, right? We're not buying this. Oh, it's like now $95. Or we're not buying this. Oh, it hit 120. I'm going to sell and profit take, because you end up getting back into monopoly money. You don't want to. Our game is to get out of the monopoly money. So you're not here to profit take. You are here to protect yourself. This is where you got 100 grand in the bank. It's worth zero. I can Rumpelstiltskin it and trade it and get silver, and I can get this coins or bars, mostly coins I like. You can get this, and you're protected as the dollar goes out and the value of your house goes to zero and your car goes to zero and the value of your money goes to zero. What are you going to take to the grocery store? Are they still going to take this crap? I don't know. Just hope we don't get price controls, because that's really that's when they start controlling the prices, then we're all fucked. Just a second. All these messages. So I don't know. Trump's in Davos now. I don't get this whole Greenland crap. What's he doing? NATO is dying and no one can save it. This is my colonel I listen to, this guy. Davos, U.S. empire unhinged and Europe subordinated. King Donald, that's a scary thought. Davos revelation, U.S. empire unhinged. Apparently, I don't know if Britain is still controlling us or not. U.S. silver market broke. Now, this is Mr. Fuji, so I don't trust this. Sold out, but no bid. System failure. The middleman is dead. I don't know what the fuck this idiot's talking about. Credit lines frozen for U.S. bullion dealers. Again, this is paper. We don't give a fuck about paper. I got to watch this one. How intelligent people like us should deal with stupid people. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's see what's going on with our gold and silver. Ooh, we hit 4,900 with our gold. There we go. 4906. So it's broken through. Look at this day we're having from 10 o'clock. Everything's been bought. And we got 96.49 on silver. Yeah, that 100's coming close. What a day. What a happy day. So everything's coming the way we know it's going to come. No, I keep score. I have, like, I put these numbers in and I multiply by how many ounces I got, and I get my value. And what I do is I do it since January 1st. I said, well, January 1st, it was this, it was whatever, $70 times how many ounces for silver. And now it's 96. And then I go, this is how much I've made. And we're only in January. It's not even been a month. And I'm making like $30,000 this month, just watching gold and silver run. I also do it since the beginning of 2015. So who needs a job, right? Not only am I getting the money, but it's tax free. I'm not paying payroll taxes on it because I'm not working. This is an indirect work. This is just, I bought it and now it's going up, and there's no reason to pay a tax on a value of an asset going up, only when you sell it, and only if you get 1099. So all of a sudden I'm sitting there. This is why I'm like, oh God, I make more money doing this than I've ever done anything in my life, and it's tax free. It's the best of both worlds. Now I got to be quiet in case the feds are listening, going, "How can we tax people who bought it and it's going up?" Which I'm sure they're trying to do, but it's like Bitcoin. Well, it went from $5 to 100,000, but nobody got taxed on it. That's a little bit more deadly because they know you have it and they know you sell it, and therefore they can give you a 1099 in capital gains, but not gold. I go to my store with this, and it's at 100. It's worth 200. I get 200. Nobody knows. There's no written documentation, and like I say, it's like going to the casino. I go play poker. I make $1,000. There's no tax on it. It's just that's the beauty of the casino. The casino is all like, it's tax free basically, unless you hit a slot machine or like a World Series of Poker. Like if you're in the World Series of Poker and you make $1 million, you're getting taxed on. You're getting a 1099. But if you just go there to play and you make $1,000 or $2,000 or these cash games, there's no tax on it. So you're sitting in a Doyle Brunson cash game and you make 50,000, there's no tax on it. Nobody's writing Doyle Brunson's not writing I got a 1099, you won. There's no 1099s. So it's only when you go to an actual job and get an actual paycheck, then they know what has happened. Otherwise they're blind. If we just, I sell 2 ounces or even just the fact it goes up, we're making serious money here. I know Luke's making a ton because he's got like 5 boxes. That's 2,500 times 70 to 96. The 26 times 2,500 ounces of silver. He's doing okay and not paying a tax on it. So that's really the key to it is that. And be careful in the stock market. I know you guys with the miners or you're in Amazon or whatever, just be careful. You really don't want to be in it. As Egon said, it's going to crash and it crashes. Everything crashes and it's crashing because the dollar's worthless. And so the people in the other countries who have like $28 trillion in the stock market are going to sell their positions and they're going to sell everything. Now, I don't know how many people are in the gold and silver stocks, but you don't want to be in the stock market. And the biggest reason is you're still in this. Right, your stock's selling. I looked at Newmont; it was 120, and I freaked out because I had a vision several years ago it was going to be 150, and it was like 30 or 40, and now my tuition's coming through, and I do that a lot. So here you're still in paper. So what's the difference between the stock? I got 100 shares of Newmont at 125, or I got 100 ounces at 125. What do you rather have? Yes, you're making money, but the money you're making is monopoly money in the stock market. So be careful. Anything you do in money, your Bitcoin, anything, it's in dollars. The dollars aren't worth anything. And I'm saying, you look at the value, you go to the grocery store, it's there's nothing there. It's not worth anything. So just keep that in mind. You really want to be in gold and silver and out of the dollars, which includes stocks and bonds and real estate trust. Real estate is not the way. There will not be a demand for real estate because nobody will have money to buy it, especially an expensive house. You go buy a $500,000 house, it'll go down to like 50,000 in gold, but it won't be. It's not going to go up. The inflation, the money is worthless, so the house is really worthless. So you think, oh, I'll buy it for 5 and I'll sell it for $1 million. No, you're not going, because you're in dollars. Understand the concept. You don't want to be in dollars. You don't want to be on the Titanic. Well, I'm in the second deck, not the third deck or the fourth deck. You're still on the Titanic. It's still crashing. You still need the lifeboat, gold and silver. So shut the fuck up. Same thing here. Well, I'm in this. Well, you got to get out of this and get into gold and silver. And it's not a question of anything. Well, I made $1,000 in the stock market, or I made $50,000. You still made dollars. The dollars aren't worth anything. So you really are worth zero. And the quicker you understand that, and I'm struggling teaching Luke to get the fuck out of the stocks. Well, I'll make a lot. You're making a lot of money. You're making a lot of monopoly money. You're not making anything. Now, if you were to sell the stocks and buy gold with it, okay. But I don't think you're doing that. You're diversifying into physical gold and silver and stocks. That's not a good diversification. You don't want to be in it. It's just like putting 100 grand in the bank. You'll never see it again. And if you do, it's not going to be worth anything. Understand, it's not worth it. You printed it to death. It's not worth anything. Get the fuck out of it. That's why just go buy more gold and silver. I don't see the problem. It's going up, 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 up in a way. So what are you waiting on? So anyway, we'll see. We could see 100 tomorrow. That's my prediction. It'll be $100 tomorrow, and the gold will be, well, it broke 4,900. We could get 5,000 tomorrow. Could be a happy day, because I think everybody realizes what's happening. They realize the dollar's dead, the euro's dead, the British pound's dead, all the other paper currencies are dead, and now as they see gold and silver going up, the frenzy's starting to happen where, wait, I need a lifeboat. So on the Titanic, when it first hit, nobody really thought about, well, I got to get off the boat. It can't sink. It won't sink. And then as you see it sinking, the frenzy of, oh shit, we need a lifeboat. It is going to sink. I'm going to die unless I get on the lifeboat. And that's what you're seeing here. The dollar is worthless. I got to get off the dollar and into gold and silver. Oh, but I got Bitcoin. I got to get out of that. I got to worry about my stocks. I got to get out of that. My real estate trust, tack on Wall Street guy, and I got to get out of my bonds. I get all of that because it's all worthless. And now, what am I going to do? I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell my Bitcoin, get my 90 grand out before it's zero, and then I got to go buy 90 grand worth of gold and silver, which is also driving the prices. People getting out and realizing they want it, but there is no supply and they're bidding it up. And that's what's happening. Yeah, Nick, only sell when you absolutely need goods. Yeah, like I say, if you have, let's say, 100 ounces of gold, you might only sell a quarter ounce or a half ounce, or silver. Let's say you got 1,000 ounces of silver, which wouldn't be that hard for ours because I've been telling you to buy it since. So let's say since 2021. So you could easily have accumulated 1,000 ounces at $20 an ounce. Let's say you did that. So you got 1,000 ounces of silver, 100 ounces of gold. Yeah, you might, depending on what you need, you might just sell like 2 or 3 ounces of silver, but you still got 1,000. And then I get groceries or pay for bills, which is fine. But you want to keep that bulk. You got 1,000 ounces, you want 100, you're not touching. You're just watching the ride. You're watching the rocket take off and you're going, hey, we're at $1,000 an ounce now. You don't want to miss that opportunity selling it at 100 when it's worth 1,000. Same thing with gold. I don't want to sell my gold almost 5,000. I don't want to sell it at 5,000 when it's going to 50. Look at the opportunity cost. I fucked up. I sold it at 1,000, at 5,000. Then when it hits 50,000, I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do? So it's like Nick's saying, it's 1 or 2 ounces for specific. You want to go on a nice vacation, all right? So maybe that's an ounce of gold. You need clothes or food or something. Maybe that's an ounce of silver. As you can see, we're getting where it's meaningful. So that's what you want to do. I wouldn't worry about it dropping. These prices have been dropping and going up, dropping. It was $90 yesterday, 91 silver, and now it's at 96. So yeah, it's being bought. In our tag team, we have the Chinese, the Russians, the Indians, the Dubais, the Saudi Arabia guys, South Africa, Brazil, Japan, Korea, on and on and on and on are in our tag team corner, and then the other corner is the Britons, the Germans, the French, and the U.S. and they're all stumbling around. They won't tag each other. And they're just And we got like the elite Russian and Chinese guys who are going to kill him. So I mean that's who's in our corner. Understand that BRICS is dominant. They've gone to a gold backed currency. Gold has to go much higher. They probably just went to it because you can see it going boom 45, 46. 40. They got to make it much higher because they got to be able to cover it. So I think we'll see 10 grand very, very soon because of the gold back currency of BRICS. Also, the silver, they need that because they're realizing you might not have enough gold for all the people, so they got to start putting silver into their currency also. So you're going to see a much higher price. It's now controlled. The variable that's changed is BRICS. BRICS is now controlling the price, and it's a physical price. In the U.S., with their paper price, are just they're left. They're analogs in a digital world. Ocean's 13, right? It's just they've lost control of this paper game because nobody wants to play it. There's no market for it anymore. The demand is in the physical side. People need to own physical, and it's because the dollar's worthless. So you do never, you're not profit taking this. I won't allow it. You've got to, as Nick said, you might sell an ounce or two. If I go to Europe or I go to Russia to meet Daria, if I go there, then I have to. Then I might sell an ounce of gold for $5,000 and pay for the trip, but only in that situation. But I'm not. I need to keep what I have and watch it go, and then we'll all live on a beach, and we won't be earning 20%. We'll be earning a lot more than 20%. So, like I say, it's fun. Keep score. Go back to the beginning of the year or 2025. I'm sure you've owned it that long, but let's say 2026. Go to Jan 1, put the price in, put your quantity in, get your total, put today's price in, multiply it by the quantity up there, and you get your new total, subtract, and you go, oh, fuck, I just made $25,000 in gold this year. Now, providing you have a decent amount of ounces. But if you had 10 ounces, you'd still have made a lot of money. So keep buying it. You can't lose. It's a no-brainer. No risk in the portfolio. James Rickards claims gold will hit 27K. Who the fuck's James Rickards, and why the hell are you listening to that idiot? He's a Keynesian. Have you heard of him? He's a Keynesian. I watched him once. We can print as much money as we want. And if you listen how he come up with 27K, it's total dollars divided by the money we have in Fort Knox. He's not using variables. He's not using bricks. He's not using supply and demand. He's using, we have $50 trillion divided by the 8,000 tons of gold in Fort Knox that doesn't exist. And that's how he gets to 27K. I don't listen to him. I don't like that you brought him up in my class. I don't like the guy at all. He's as bad as Maloney and Andy Schechtman and Peter Schiff. I don't want to hear. And obviously this Mr. Wonderful, they are idiots. And they don't understand what they're talking about. Like I say, the only people I want in our class is Egon and Mark McGuire. Even Alligator McLeod, I'm a little curious about. He doesn't seem to get it. It's not gold going up. It's a dollar going down. Yeah, probably it is the demand for gold making the price go up, Alligator. If you don't understand that concept, then go fuck off. I don't want to listen to you. You don't know what you're talking about. It is the demand for the gold and the silver. Into these very limited supply markets that is creating this price. This is a BRICS physical price that we're not even there yet. We're starting to get. We are nowhere near physical. This is still paper. When I just showed you the COMEX, it's paper. It's based on options, and it's based on the the margins and stuff. We're not looking at a physical price. This is the point I keep explaining. The $96 silver I just showed you is paper. It is not the physical price. Times that by 10, and you're getting close to what the physical price is, because on the margin, you're controlling 100 ounces with 5. So let's multiply it by 20 or something. That's what you're doing. So I'm not even giving you a physical price. I'm giving you a paper price. Once you understand that and blows your mind, then you realize, Jesus Christ, yeah, you won't be working again soon. And you're not going to sell it for fiat money. Gold and silver will be the money. And you have to understand that. This is what the money will be. You will walk in to a store with a 1 ouncer, this is a 2 ouncer, and you'll be buying your groceries and going to your restaurants and buying your clothes with the silver. Now, in what form will it be? Will we put it into a bank? God, I hope not. But somehow we will put it on a card, like a credit card or debit card would be, is my thought. And then you just use the credit or debit card, just like you're using it now, only instead of being backed by this, it's backed by that. So all of a sudden you'll see my 2-liter Coke is going to be 10 cents, 10 cents of silver. That'll buy me the 2-liter. That's how misapplied the prices are. They're not even close to reality, and they're priced in monopoly money. So understand all that. That's when I want to tell you a $500,000 house might be 2 ounces of gold, because the gold will be 50,000. The house is not worth 500,000 gold. It's worth 500,000 monopoly money. So when it goes to zero, maybe 2 ounces of gold, the owner will say, thank you. And you won't have mortgages anymore. You give them the gold, you own the house. That's it. Hopefully we get rid of property taxes. What a joke that is. Ron White. Hey, Ron Weiss. 49.11, 5,000 soon. Absolutely. So did you like last weekend's, Ron? I went 7-0 and there was only 5 games. Boy, what a killer weekend. This weekend should be the same. And then the Super Bowl, I got to do it. I do that a lot, Ron, where I really run the table. It's been confusing college with all the NIL and the transfers and the coaches switching and the offensive coordinator switching and the quarterback switching. So it takes me longer to study, to problem solve college. In the pros, I've been deadly, for 2 months now. Once I figured out, I need to bet New England, Jacksonville, and Houston and get away from some of these other teams. So anyway, yeah, we're going to see 5,000 soon, and then we attack 10,000 because BRICS went on the gold back currency, right? They've come out with it. They need a higher gold price. They need a real physical gold price, and it's much higher than this paper crap. And so they need a higher price. And I don't know how long COMEX is going to last, because there is no gold to cover, and it's going to be there. So you're kind of like going, why are we still using COMEX? Really, it makes no sense. The Shanghai can give us a physical price. Although when I look at what the Chinese price is, you got to kind of divide it, and it's in grams and it's in Chinese. It's not in that. Thanks, Ron. I will send you the password, and I'll just give you the games. Either way. But thanks again. It's very very confusing. Why COMEX was invented in the first place was to price fix gold and silver, so you'd stay in the dollar and the banks would win. So we're running into the banks crying about not being there anymore. I think we'll still use banks, but it's the banks who run the country. The mafia runs the banks run the country, and they run the government. And so they tell the politicians what to do. So the banks don't want to go out. So we'll have to think of a way to include gold and silver into the bank, like it used to be in the 1800s. there was banks, they used gold and silver. That's what they did. So that's my whole point. I don't know why we're using comex. I don't know why we ever use comex, but I don't know why it's used now. There's too much silver contracts that they won't be able to deliver, so it's going to blow up. So why would anybody still use it? And I think that's why we'll just see it go higher. I mean, look at silver. Silver's at 96 now, or going to 100 anytime soon. And it's just gone. I mean, they tried something last week. Mark McGuire said from the 8th to the 14th, and it didn't work. And there's nothing they can, let's have more margin calls, because that really worked. All that does is lower the price because it forces people to sell, which knocks the price down. And then Putin and the Chinese and the Indians go and buy it. So they go, thank you, I'm going to buy the cheaper gold and silver. But otherwise, it's incredibly stupid. Anybody to sell their gold and silver. Now, margin call they had to, because nobody had the money to cover it. But anybody buying this shit on margins out of their fucking minds. You do not go to the gold store and buy this and put it on margin. You pay for it and off you go. And it was $25. I used to like sing and dance out of the store because I know this was coming, right? This wasn't like a guess. I knew this is, well, what did I tell you? $1,000 silver. Well, I meant it. So I'm buying it for 25 an ounce and it's worth $1,000. And that was the whole point. Even now, you go buy it at it probably cost you $98 an ounce for silver. And you're buying $1,000 silver for $98. The funny part is I used to like not go play poker. I would take my $300 that I play poker with. I play 1-2 or 1-3 no limit at MGM downtown Detroit. And I'd play the 300 out. That way I can't lose too much, but I still can win. And I said to myself, I'd rather not do that. And I ended up, excuse me, I ended up going to the gold store and I'd buy, with my 300, I'd get 10 ounces. It was $30 an ounce roughly. So I'd get 10 ounces of silver instead of, because I could lose at poker. If I could win, I'm not going to win as much as $30 turning into 100, turning into 1,000. So I know that was the right play. So that's the only way I don't play poker. Is if I do it, I get 3 ounces of silver, and that's really the catch. So instead of getting 10 ounces of it, I only can get 3, and pretty soon I'll only get 1 ounce with my $300 as it turns to 300. And then when it hits 500, I can get a half ounce. I mean, it's beautiful. So now we're in the lifeboat and we're just, enjoying the ride, and we're just watching the price. At this point, I really am not interested in buying more. I'm interested in just doing my little spreadsheet going, hey, let's see, gold was 4,200 at the beginning of the year, and now it's at 5,000, and we made $800 on all these ounces in a month. And if we do this every month, we'll all be on a beach somewhere, owning the island. Ron, I know a guy I used to take football betting advice from. He then started talking about stacking silver and gold because they are going to go sky high. I wonder who that is. Yeah, I was going to say, there's only one of me. So good one, Ron. I appreciate that. What I like is you're still taking football advice from me. That says everything, because if somebody knows what they're doing, you're going to listen to them. And if they don't know what they're doing, you're not going to listen to them anymore. So I know it's because I problem solve the game. As we're talking to Prof, and he's doing this AI crap, and he's lost. He's looking for the easy way out. There is no easy way out to picking football. You can only problem solve it. You have to study the teams and know the team. Like the LA Seattle, there's no way Seattle's stopping the Rams from scoring a lot of points. It's not going to happen. Stafford will light them up. They're very live dog. It's an over game. The Rams defense sucks. So where I would have locked the over last week, I was smart enough to realize the 0-degree weather is probably going to keep the game low scoring, which it did. Here you got 35 and no wind, so you're not going to get that in this type of game. This is going to be high scoring game, but you have to problem solve that. You can't look at algorithms and just, that's the lazy way out. Well, I plug the numbers in, which I don't know if they're right or wrong, and I'm doing that. So I even go to the last 5 games and I come up with my averages and I go, okay, this is helping me understand. Yeah, Denver's defense isn't as strong as we think, and the Rams defense sucks against good teams. So it's almost become a good team, bad team thing. Yeah, Ron, I got that. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I do my best, and I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing this since I remember. I don't know. I think I watched the Ice Bowl, but I know I was betting in 1969 and 70. I remember betting the Super Bowl, Dallas, Miami. I think that's the earliest. I used to bet in junior high school. I think I started when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I'd bet quarters. In the first week of the 1969 or 1970 season, I go 13-1, and the kid stopped betting with me. He said, "You're too good." And that wasn't even teasers back then. Back then, I didn't know a teasers till 77, but I problem solved teasers. I would always ask, why did I lose the teaser? And I can ask that, why did I lose the Rams in Carolina? That's about the only loser I've had in a while, was that one. And that's why I bet quickly. I locked the Green Bay Chicago game because Chicago was favored. So I locked Green Bay getting the 7.5. I know exactly what I'm looking for. When I see it, I bet it immediately. I don't wait till the closing line bullshit and all these statistical idiots. I hate that. If you remember, I asked for the picks, but I also was very interested in how you got them. Yeah, exactly. I'm happy to share that. That's what I think I'm doing here. Although still questioning Profit trying to do AI. Like that's the answer. But that's how you do it. You have to know the defense, the coach, and the quarterback. Those are your keys. Or if you have an Earl Campbell or something. But who's the studs? Who are you bet? Joe Montana. If you'd have known me in the '80s, Ron, you'd have been filthy rich, because then it was Joe Montana, and then it was the '85 Bears, and then it was Lawrence Taylor, and we just bet the piss out of them. And Montana won us so much money because he'd always win, right? Anytime it was like -7 in Montana, you'd go down to 1. But that's the key to it. You're betting Montana, you're betting Tom Brady, you're betting Lawrence Taylor. You're looking for the stud. And in here, it's going to be Stafford. Darnell we can't bet on. Drake May we can't bet on. And Stidham we can't bet on. So if it goes into the Super Bowl, we'll be betting Stafford because he's the horse. We're going to feed the horse. And that's really, I just can't see New England or Denver winning the Super Bowl. Maybe if Bo Nix comes back, maybe Denver can beat LA. But it'll be a very high-scoring Super Bowl if that happens. But yeah, and I always problem solve it. That's my key. Plus, I'm a little bit of an intuition person. Like I said, I saw Newmont Mining was going to be $150 a share 5 years ago. And it just came to me. I just saw it. Newmont 125, 150. And I looked the other day and Newmont's at 125, and I almost shit my pants. I was like, I saw it, and it's going to 150. I guarantee it. And when I get those sites, I'm deadly in poker. I'll have four to a flush, and I'll close my eyes and I'll look for the ace of diamonds. So give me the flush. The guy throws the card over, and it's the ace of fucking diamonds. And it's like I get all like the back of my hair stands up. I go, I can't fucking believe I picked the card. And I do that. I've done that over 100 times where I don't know what it is, but I can kind of feel what's going to happen. Rice. AI is all new to me. The jury is still out on it right now. Do you understand what AI is? Do you know all they're doing is looking at notes and stuff. AI is not a predictor. AI just looks at what is happening, and it's, when you look at, uh, you can't forecast with it, or if you are you even getting the right numbers? It's not going to work. I'm just trying to help you. Now, good, you problem solve it, and you tell me how to figure it out with AI, but you can't. I'm telling you, you can't use formulas. Like Nick said, he wanted to do it, and I told him you can't, and he didn't believe me, and he tried, and now he's saying you can't. There's no way you can problem solve with formulas because you don't know what the variables are. How do you put in the 15 degrees in Denver? How do you put in Stidham? How do you put in it's a playoff game? How do you put in Drake May? How do you put in the coat? You can't. It's impossible to come up with numbers for that. The only numbers you can use is, New England, they score 31 a game and give up 13 their last 5 games. That's all you can do. And I don't even know if that's part of your AI formula. Oh, Denver, they score 25 and give up 21 their last 5 games. But then you get to LA, they score 30 and give up 26. Not the 20 that if you took the whole year, because the whole year is meaningless. Just the last 5 games shows you how they're playing. So there's no way you can possibly use a mathematical formula to do what I do. It's impossible. So you can do it, but I would tell you to problem solve it, not rely on a formula. That's being lazy. You're just spitting it out and going, I'm going to bet it because of that. It's not going to work. You have to understand why you're making the bet. And when it wins, why did I win? And when it loses, why did I lose? And if you can't do that, you can't bet on football. Just the way it is. Montana and Rice. There you go. Well, I was hitting them before there was Rice. 81, it was Montana and Dwight Clark. So it was all Montana. And I hit Montana at Notre Dame. I had that Cotton Bowl game with Houston, and it was like 31. It was 30-10 going into the fourth quarter. And Montana threw 3 touchdown passes, including one with 2 seconds left, and Notre Dame won 31-30. And that was Montana. And I said, I'm betting this guy all the time. So it wasn't always Rice. It was the first 4 years, 81, 82, 83 was with Dwight Clark and the catch. And what a catch that was, right? AI is reading somebody else's ideas. Exactly, Ron. And this is something you have to figure out on your own. There is no magic genie. Hey, genie, give me the games. Give me the winner of the game, and he gives you the score. I'm the magic genie, but you have to figure this shit out on your own. You have to come up with theories and thesis and say, this is why. Do I always give you why we're betting it, right? Don't I give you why? We're going over the free picks over in the Ram game. Why? Because they have a great offense and a terrible defense. And Seattle has a great offense, and the great defense is fake. It's against the Niners in Carolina and Oakland and that, not against the Rams, who put up 38. No, it was 38-37 in overtime. So the Rams put up 37 on this great defense. The Rams will score. You're not shutting down the Rams. They scored with fucking 0-degree weather. They put up 20 on the Bears. So that's enough to tell you. AI will not be able to see the things a human can see and in past games and what we think. The difference is I can't think. I can look at the weather like I did last week and give you the fucking score 20-17 in the Bear game. AI could never do that because how can AI know and calculate in the wind and the cold? Right? It can't do that. And even in hot games, you have to know that it cannot be an AI doing it. Coming up with the right parameters is the key, but you can't do that. You can't come up with the right. You don't know what the right parameters. What are you giving for Stidham? I know, but you don't. And how do you plug it in? You have no idea. You don't even know who Stidham is. I watched him at Auburn. I got his stats, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks in 2018. I have all that information. That's who he is. So he's okay. He's played in 7 games. And I guarantee you Sean Payton wouldn't have on the team if he wasn't any good. Ron, as how the teams looked, right? And then injuries, all that stuff. TK, what do you think of these robots that even have women bots? I think that's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm going to date a robot who she's an AI robot. I mean, give me a break. I mean, do you want to date somebody who is programmed to love you and have sex with you and all that? It's programmed, or do you want a real woman who actually loves you and it's real, right? You want to earn that, and I think it's stupid. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, let's go to a strip club and we'll watch AI girls on stage. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't. Computers are going way too far. This AI, I do not like it. It just reeks with problems. And I watched Terminator, and I know what's going to happen. You've got to really be kidding. You've got to get away from that shit. It's not it's not healthy. It's not good. Let's take the human element out of all this. That's what the scary part is. So you're going with AI. You're listening to AI give you a pick. At least I'm human, and I can give you a pick, but I wouldn't go there. Um, you've got to have somebody who critically thinks the thing, not. And again, it's trying to get you stupid, where you don't do anything. You just follow what the AI says on a game or on a stock or what to do. And then if it's AI women, what is that? I mean, so now you're not even dating a real person. What I don't even I can't even comprehend that. What are you crazy? Uh, it's to me now you're not thinking. Prophet, you're not thinking. You're just using this AI to try to get a score, uh, which is ridiculous. That's not how you pick games. And believe me, I've been doing it since 1970, teaser since 77. I know how to pick games where I wouldn't be doing it. If I kept losing, I wouldn't do it, right? I've never had a losing season, the whole season. I've had losing weeks, but in a season since 1970, I've never had a losing season. And this year I'm way ahead again. And you have a few bad weeks, but generally no. But to date an AI girl, you got to be nuts. I don't get that at all. Go to prostitutes. At least they're real. I mean, Ron, I'm going to need 3 plays for this weekend so I can do my 3-way teaser. Love using it. Okay, Ron, no problem. I've made. There's actually 3 picks in the teasers. There's the one big play, and then I put it in the second play. So you all have your 3. I can give you 4 if you need the 4th. I can give you that. But if you're playing 3, yeah, you've got the 3. So I'll send you the password as soon as I'm done here, which I should be done soon. I'm on 3 hours. Oh my God. During the Super Bowl, I'm only going to be able to give you 2. I'll have to give you the team and the total. Although maybe we can come up with take both teams or both totals or something. We'll figure that out. But yeah, y'all have 3 plays. Yeah, I double dipped on the one teaser that I really like. And so I put it in teaser A and then teaser B with the other team. Anyway, this is there's just 2 games. It's so sad. The Miami game, I was dead on with that one with Indy. I thought 30-27 and it ended 27-21, so it's dead on. And it was about I didn't think Indy would blow them out, and I thought Miami's defense would play. And that kid on Miami, the running back's outstanding, and that wide receiver's like you can't touch him. And Indy Mendoza, he didn't look like Joe Montana. See, that's how I view things. Is he Joe Montana? No. Is he Tom Brady? No. He's an average. He's a decent quarterback. Cam Ward, I think, is below average, and yet you made them the number one pick. And how did that work out for you, Tennessee? You pick a number one again, I think, or you're near there. Mendoza's not a Joe Montana. I think Daggio Pava is. That's why I say that after watching Montana. He's very similar. He wins the games for us. The Tennessee game, they put up 50 points. That's why you bet on when you find Daggio is better than Mendoza. I don't know why anybody doesn't like Daggio. He will be a superstar. I called Joe Burrow, which was easy. Ron, 95, 95. Did we get to 96 or I thought we did? What did we have? We had, yeah, it was 96.49. So it's come down a little. And 49.06 gold. And you said that was like 49.11. Yeah, breaking the 49 was critical. And silver was 96.49. So I think we'll see that go. I got 96.31 right now and 49.13. What are you looking at? This is gold price. This is as of 150. This is live. So 49.13, 96.31. So update your silver, Ron. You're back over 96. I think buying 1/10 of gold is the only way to buy right now. Well, it depends what you bought already, and it depends on your financial situation. 1/10 will cost you 500 to 550 or so. Where with the 550, you can only buy 5 ounces of silver. So yeah, I'd rather buy the 1/10 of gold. I got a lot of fractionals. I got a lot of quarter ounces, which are going to be perfect. You're not always wanting to sell the ounce. Sometimes a quarter ounce, it's like it'll get you like $1,500. Well, that's fine. I'll take that, and then I can use that, and then I still have the meat, the ounces, and I don't think it matters. I've got everything: Cougarans, Philharmonics, Maple Leafs, and Eagles. I don't know why people pay more for the Buffalo. I know it's 24 karat versus the 22 karat, and I think it's 999, and the other isn't. But it doesn't matter. It's an ounce of gold. So I don't know why the Cougaran and the Maple Leaf prices are cheaper. It makes no sense to me. So anyway, that's where it's at. Anything else? Yeah, Ron, we're making money. Damn right. And again, it's all dependent on. I've heard people say, "Should I sell my gold to buy silver now?" No, you never sell your gold. Again, gold's going to 40, 50,000 an ounce. I'm not selling that. Silver can't catch up to that. But um, one guy did sell silver to buy gold, which I wouldn't recommend doing that either because the prices aren't anywhere near reality. So even at $100 silver and $5,000 gold, and yeah, I can sell 50 ounces of silver to get an ounce of gold. I don't see the point. My silver is going to go to 1,000. My gold's going to go to 10. I mean, so again, it depends. If you have 5 ounces of gold and then 5,000 ounces of silver, maybe you do it to get more gold. But otherwise, you're fine. You're just hold them, let them go up, and anything like Brian's saying, buy a quarter ounce, buy a tenth of an ounce, buy more silver. Just be careful. You better buy it soon because not only is it going up, it's also limited. It's also going to be hard to find. You go to my guy's store, I don't know if he'll have, he always seems to have the bullion silver, the Arizona, whatever, or that Eagles he always seems to have, but I haven't seen him with gold. He had the gold, not the coins, the other, the blocks, little 1 ouncers like that. He's had silver bullets. If we're worried about vampires, I couldn't believe they're like 1 ounce silver bullets, and it's a novel thing, but I'd rather have the coin. Thank you very much. People are buying silver shots now. The ICS loves buying it from you. DK, you think game is so fast now, like a video game? Werewolves. Well, werewolves, vampires, whoever needs the silver bullets. The ICS, who's that? Loves buying it from you. The store? Do I think the game is so fast, not like a video game? What are we talking about, John Z? Football? Uh, no, what's happened is it's become more offensive with the receivers because they get all these penalties and everything. So the defense has more fast secondary guys. But now look what's happening. More teams are going to tight ends to take advantage. I got a 250-pound tight end going against a 190-pound cornerback. All I got to do is throw him the ball, and he'll run through these guys. Look at the Rams with all their tight ends, right? The Bears and everything. So, no, it's just faster because it's more passing. But as teams change to more tight ends and more running, it'll slow back down, which I think you're talking Bob Degree, football. Bob Seger. Oh, okay. Bob Degree. People are buying silver shot now. What's silver shot? Is that the bullets or what? What are we talking? Anyway, yeah, just you've got to realize the dollar has no value. So that's the first thing. And then you got to realize the longer you wait to buy gold and silver, as we know, the price is going up. So the longer you wait, you're going to pay more. Like I bought my Christmas present. And I think it was middle of the end of December. It was after Christmas. And I got 5 ounces for $76 an ounce. And it went down to 70, 71 right after, the day after. And now it's at 100. So I made $24 an ounce in less than a month. By accident, I just wanted to buy 5 more ounces. So yeah, it's as more people now, as people realize these prices. Now, I don't even know if people realize these prices. Me and you, we religiously look at our price, right? We're looking at it every day going, I put it in my title, gold, 4,800, silver 95 when we started. And so all of us, we know we're looking at the price. We understand why it's going up. Most people have no clue. They're maybe looking at their stocks, but they have no clue what or why they're buying gold or silver. They don't even know what BRICS is. I mean, that's the beauty of it. They don't have a clue what BRICS is. They don't have a clue why to buy gold and silver, according to Warren Buffett and Mr. Wonderful. Oh, it's just a paperweight that does nothing. You don't want to own it. They're talking negative against it. So most people who are listening to these two morons are not getting it. They're not getting why. So are they even paying attention to the price? This I don't know. Geez, it's 2:00. This I'm not sure if they're even noticing the price, right? Are they paying attention to it? So I don't think they are. So they're missing the whole boat, right? So they don't realize how limited it is. They don't realize if they don't buy it now, they're going to have to buy it later at a higher price. And they don't realize why they're buying it. They don't realize their dollar's worthless. Oh, I got $500,000 in stocks. Yeah, that's not worth anything. Your 500,000 in your 401k is worth zero. I got my buddy in Florida. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't know how to listen. He's right. I'm wrong. And I go, okay, well, I said to him, don't ask me for gold. When you go broke because your 401k goes to zero, don't ask me for gold. I'm trying to help you. You're not listening. You're on your own. It's amazing. It's amazing is he doesn't want to listen. And that's what these idiots are all about. They have their own ideas. They won't listen to you. They're right. And that's really the problem as I'm showing you these idiot videos where these people The danger is because they're confident and wrong, and people like confident people and assume they're right. We're confident and correct. We're confident and right. They're confident and wrong, but they won't listen. Right? I know what's going on. I don't know. The sky's blue. I know that. The sun sets in the east. I know that the east, and I know that, and I'm not going to listen to you. That sets in the west, and this is the big problem we have. Let's see, particles. Silver shot is the silver right before it gets melted and put into the mold. Particle. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, from what I hear, there's a backup of people selling their sterling silver and the fake gold, not the fake silver, the junk silver. They don't even want it anymore. The mines aren't, or the mints aren't wanting it. There's too much backup. So what's happening is people who don't know what they're doing are selling their sterling silverware and their Kennedy half dollars because it's the all-time high $75, and everybody's selling it because they need money, but they're clueless. They don't realize it's not at its all-time high. It's not even close to it where it's headed. And so there's so much people needing money and selling that kind of stuff. There's a backup at the refinery, and that's what's happening. So there's a lot of that being bought. But thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. John C. TK, did you ever have a 52 mantle card? No, I didn't. I probably could have got one at the trade show. We started collecting cards in 1990. And I'm sure we saw mantle cards. I do have a 1968 mantle card, which is in beautiful condition, but I don't have it. And if I saw it back then, it was probably thousands of dollars, which is now worth like $100,000. I show you a PSA 1 mantle card is going for $60,000 on eBay. A PSA 1, it's warped, it's torn, it's wrinkled. 62,000. Okay. Any mantle rookie. And if you get a decent one, you're probably close to $1 million. Where I just thought it was too expensive. And I really, the Montana rookie I got was $100 at the most. The Eiserman 1 of 1 that I show you, I think I paid $100 for it. At that time, you'd go to really good cards, but they use Beckett, sort of like they're using Comex, and it was ungraded, and it was PSA 8, I think, was the intention of it. They were like near mint cards. So I would look for mint cards, a mint Pete Rose, a mint Roberto Clemente, a mint Mantle, a mint Mays, and I would buy them. And I got the mint Montana and the mint Rice. Now there are a little bit of centering issues on the Montana and the Rice, but hopefully I can still get a 10 on them. But I didn't pay more than $100 for them. But I was already problem solving cards. And I said, well, I got to go after the ones with high demand. And if I go, I'm looking at 1990s, there's no baseball in there. Okay, a little Barry Bonds, McGuire, Greg Max had no value. So it was Clemens, but they're all steroids guys. So none of them had value except for Frank Thomas. And I said, well, why do that? Let's go back. And I went into the 65 and 68 baseball and football. I got a Namath, a Sayers, Dick Butkus, those guys, and 68 and 69. And then I did get a 1959 Jim Brown, Johnny Unitas, and Bart Starr in really good condition. But that's how I thought, well, wait a minute, I didn't get Pete Rose as much because he was with the gambling, but I did get a lot of Clemente, a lot of Mays, a lot of Koufax, a lot of Hank Aaron, Brooks Robinson, Franks Robinson, LK line, a lot of LK line because I was in Detroit. And you're buying them cheap, $20, $30, and these are probably going to be PSA 9s, I would assume. They're all in great shape. There's a couple that you just couldn't find in great shape, but most of them are. I think I showed you the Willie Mays and the Hank Aaron. They look like 10s. 65s, the 68s, 1960. I got a Willie Mays that's not in great. It's in good condition. It's just off center a little bit, but that was all I could find, and I paid $20 for it. So but that's what I did. I problem solved that, just like I problem solved football. How do you make money in it? I didn't know anything about grading, but I knew I wanted gem mint cards. I wanted, which I didn't know was a PSA 10 at the time. I wanted a gem mint card. So we would look for good quarters, good centering, and a good pitcher in 1960s, and we'd get as close as we could. But it was like Mays, Mantle, Aaron, Clemente, Koufax, Robinson, Bob Gibson. That's who we went after, and that was much smarter than going after Mark McGuire and Barry Bonds and those guys. So it was really a no-brainer. And there wasn't much in the 70s. I did get a Ricky Henderson rookie in really good shape. Reggie Jackson, I got a second-year one. I don't know why I didn't get the rookie one. The one rookie I'm a little pissed I didn't get was Bobby Orr. I got his 69 card, the hockey stick card, which got the hockey stick on the side and then the pitcher. I've shown you that one. I don't know why I didn't get his rookie. I probably could have got it at a decent price. And then I didn't get Will Chamberlain, which I should have, and I didn't get Joe Namath rookie, which I should have gotten. Those should have been top of the list. They're worth a fortune now if you can get a 10. I don't know that I could have got a 10 back then just because of you didn't see a lot of gem mint 1960 cards. The 65s, I was close on. The 68s, I think I got some, but it's very difficult. And as you went back, 60, 61, I got a perfect Roger Maris 61 card, which I purposely looked for because it was 1961 and he hit the 61 homers. And that thing is beautiful. I'll show you that. But anyway, that's what I did. And I was upset because I wanted to buy more gold because back then gold was 200 an ounce and I knew what was going to happen because my teacher told me, well, the dollars are printed, they're worthless. Social Security's bankrupt already in 1995. And to get into the precious metal, he told us to get into gold. I don't know about as much as silver, but I'm still pissed I didn't get it in the early 70s when it was 35 an ounce, but I don't know if I could have bought it then. Plus, I was only like 12 years old. But if only we could go back into the future, we'd all go at 35 an ounce. We'd be sitting there going, "Yeah, I'll take 500 of those." Let's see. So I never had the 52 Mantle card. I use Kitco. What are you using for pricing? I use this price. I don't like Kitco. I use goldprice.org. This one here. I've always used that. There you go, 96.30, and it's been giving me struggle with the gold price coming up. I was doing that yesterday. It was pissing me off. Oh, here we go. All right, 96.30 and 49.20. So we're healthy above it, but look at the graph today. It's just sky high. So this gets to 100. I don't know. Hopefully by tomorrow, if we get another 350 and then 49.20, we're this far from 5,000. Can you believe we're at 49? I mean, we're just at 4,200. I'm going to say December 31st, we weren't much more than 43, 4,400 to blow through 4,500. And I knew once we did that, 46, 47, we'll go all the way to 5. Mark McGuire said, well, my friend told me 8,000. And that's on the way to 10. I mean, 10's conservative. We'll go through, we'll hit 8, it'll go to 10. It'll just keep going because people will realize they got to get out of the stock market and they got to get into real money and they got to sell their money. And it's a lot of billionaires who are not billionaires, but they don't realize the money's worthless, but they'll buy a bunch of gold and silver if they can find it, which they won't be able to. 2,600 platinum. What do we do with platinum, Ron? I mean, it's not a precious metal it's not money like gold and silver. So you're depending on using that for what, catalytic converters or other things uh, in the cars. Well, one thing you got to worry about in cars is they can't sell them. I had that video. There was 1 million cars sitting on lots. So are they going to keep making them? So they still need the platinum, or is it used for other things? I know it was catalytic converters. I don't know what else, but that gets into now. There's one thing I'll give you a hot tip on this. China is building a lot of nuclear reactors because they don't want oil and gas. So they're going to go to like what Germany had, which was a bunch of, what's the key element for nuclear power? Uranium. Here's why I don't mind using AI, because I just want the information, not an analysis. The key element for nuclear power is uranium, specifically U-235, because its atoms can easily be split in a controlled chain reaction to relieve maximum. Okay, this is your tip, uranium. I don't know how you buy it. I don't know if it's in coins or it's a gas. Apparently, it's very, very limited. And China's trying to build 5 nuclear power plants, as well as I'm sure Russia, and I'm sure a lot of the BRICS countries. They need uranium, and it's very limited. So I don't know how you buy it. Maybe I can research that as I go problem solving. But that's something that's highly demanded and very limited. So uranium. But again, if you got to buy stocks, I'd be careful because stocks are, well, I guess we can't buy uranium, can we? So you'd probably have to buy a stock. I'd be very careful. I don't want you in the market before it crashes. After it crashes, maybe you can go buy uranium, but I'm not into that now. But that's very limited supply, very high demand to make these power plants. They're going to need the uranium. So I think it's a mineral. Again, I don't know if I can go to my coin store and say, yeah, do you have uranium coins? But we'll see. But that's that will go up a ton. But again, we're in gold and silver. But again, I don't know how you buy it, but I wouldn't want to buy stock because stock will crash, and all the stocks will crash. When all the people, when the $27 trillion leave the stock market, they're not leaving. Well, keep the gold and silver stocks and the uranium stocks. No, they'll all go because they want to put it in dollars. You have riots in the UK, Germany, and France. So it's really unjust. The UK is crazy. They're letting out these mass murderers with knives and they're killing people. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I guess. So UK is collapsing very quickly, as is Europe. It's all going to collapse very quickly. Their money's not worth anything. And the only one I can see with gold is probably Italy and Germany. I doubt Britain has a lot of gold. Just the alligators and the Mark McGuire's probably. I have 1 ounce of platinum I bought for 1,000. Oh, so you can buy coins. Can you buy uranium coins? It's rising, so I can always make the cash. Why is rhodium so high? It's same thing. It's needed for something. There was a part that needed rhodium. It used to be like $5 and went up to 29,000. It all comes back to if it's very limited in supply and highly in demand, then the price goes to the moon. And that's why rhodium. I don't remember exactly what it's used for, but I mean, it went from like 10 to 29,000, like that. Like what's going to happen with our gold and silver? It's just going to go because there's no supply. So the key to this class is if you're looking for things that are very low in supply, meaning there isn't a lot of them, with a lot of demand. I need rhodium, I need uranium, I need gold and silver. And all these elements have been price fixed by JP Morgan and Comex, and now it's all blowing up in their face. And we're very happy you've kept the price down for us as we're buying the shit out of it and then watching it go to physical. And that's what we're waiting for. Anyway, that's what's going on. So rhodium's needed for something, and that's it basically. There's huge demand, and there just isn't a lot of it. And I think their monkeying around with COMEX has caused a lot of shortages, where you would have a rhodium mine and you might have a uranium mine, or you don't because the price is too cheap. Silver, there is no silver mine. They get them with copper, nickel, and gold. And oh, by the way, there's some silver that came out with it, but nobody's actually got a silver mine because until recently it wasn't worth it because you could only get, you'd have to do all the building and the plant and the digging, but you could only get $25 for it. So it costs you 50, you're not going to dig. That's the problem by holding the price down the way they did. You kept the miners out of it. Now you might get some more miners, but it won't matter. It'll take 10 years and the demand's still going to far outpace whatever mine. It's not like there's a million ounces sitting in the ground. You get 3,000 ounces, which isn't even a ton. A ton's 32,000 ounces. So you're not even pulling a ton out of the ground, and there's a lot more demand than 1 ton. 110 rhodium equals 1,800. Yeah, it's like 29,000, I thought, for whatever it is. Well, be careful on eBay. I'm looking at some silver, and last week silver was 90, and on eBay everything was 100. And then you'd get this located in China $25 silver. You know it's fake, so you got to be careful. It's got to make sense. It's like playing poker. You're sitting there, and the guy's checking, and then all of a sudden on the river he goes all in. It doesn't make sense. You wouldn't have waited till the river to start betting unless you got quads. But if there's no pair on the board, the bluff doesn't make sense. And the same thing here on eBay. If you see an ounce of gold, an ounce of silver for $25, and it's going for 100, it probably doesn't make any sense, does it? You're just sitting there going, this makes no sense. Why would anybody sell it for 25 if it's 100? Especially silver. Why would you ever sell it under, right? If it's going for 100, I'll sell it for 100. If it was 50, I'd sell it for 50. Why would I sell it for 50 if it's 100? Because it's fake. It's counterfeit. So keep that in mind. These people buying on eBay, then they're going to cry, oh, it was a scam. It was a Ponzi scheme. It really isn't real silver. Yeah, that's why you paid $50. That's why you paid $50 for $100 silver, right? Because you thought it was real. You thought, I'm getting a bargain here. I'm getting a $100 ounce of silver for $50. Wake up, man! You're in denial that you're fucking around. You're trying to get something cheap. You can't do that. You have to pay if I go to the store now, I'm paying $100 for it. So now I can go, instead of going to play poker, I could get 3 ounces of silver. So it's actually driving me back to poker because I can win 300 at poker and then go buy, 6 ounces of silver with it. I mean, this is crazy. Stay away. Well, not only that, stay away from people from China on selling gold and silver on eBay. Yeah, any negative feedback you stay away from. eBay backs the customer when it comes to metals, refunds the buyer. Well, okay, but why do that? So you're going to get this silver and pay $50, even though it's worth 100. And I go to my guy, I take a magnet to it and it sticks. I know it's fake. Now I got to go to eBay. Yeah, this is fake, and put a negative. I don't want to do that. I just want to buy it. I want to go to my guy's store, and I don't have to worry about shipping, and I don't have to worry about is it real, and that's the point of it. It's just a pain in the. It's like buying things on Amazon. I would never buy clothes on Amazon because I don't know what fits what size anymore. Um, I bought the roll of for my gold. I wanted to put them in the white tubes because it was easier to transport 20 ounces of gold in a white tube than carrying them. Than carrying them like pretend this is gold. I got them in these protectors. Well, do I want to carry 20 of them like this or in a white roll? So I went there and got I go on Amazon for the only thing. I went to my guy's store. He didn't have the 1 ounce Eagles, the American, unless you took it out of the hard plastic, which I didn't want to do. It didn't fit. So I did an Amazon thing, and it was for 1 ounce Eagle. It didn't fit either. It was if you didn't have them in the plastic. Well, that was the point. So that's the only thing I don't have in the white plastics of my gold are the 1 ouncers that are they're just too big for the tube. They should make bigger tubes. I don't know why they don't, but they didn't. Yeah, the white tube with the green. Yeah, it's mostly for silver because you'd buy silver 20 at a shot and you'd buy the tube. Can you imagine now? It's going to cost you $2,000 to buy what I was buying for 500. Good Lord, man. I would buy the tubes and you'd get 20 ounces in it and it would cost you $25. So 25 times, it was $500 for 20 ounces. Now that's going to be $2,000. God, I would pay $2,000 for the gold. I remember that. I bought a lot. I showed you that. It was I bought 7 ounces, and they were $19.85 an ounce after the premium. So the premium's included. So it was really like 18 some for gold, and then you're paying the premium. So I would pay $2,000 for that for an ounce of gold. Not for 20 ounces of silver was like nothing. I don't know if I want silver. It's only $20. I got a lot of those Highland Mint ones, the Griffey and Kobe and Jordan and Barry Sanders. When I was collecting cards, they came out with this Highland Mint in the mid '90s, and it was 1 ounce of silver, $9.99. So it's a real coin. It's worth more. They're all going over like 100 and a quarter. At least that was a week or two ago. If you could find them. So like 100 and a quarter for those, not the 98. So in that case, it was better to buy them. I didn't pay much. I think I paid $15 for them. Silver was going for 15 at the time. This is in the 90s. But so they're worth more. So I almost didn't collect silver or didn't go after silver, but then he didn't have the gold, and I come with $600-700, and he didn't have it, so I'd buy silver. And then I just started. Now all of a sudden I got another 100 and another 100. And I was like, I knew to get out of money, and I was working, so it was fine. Now is the fun part. Now this is our job. Watch the gold and silver price go up is our job. Absolutely. $2K for a roll of BU Eagles now. I mean, isn't it crazy? Now these are 2 ounce Maple Leafs. I got a roll of these. There was 14 in them, so it's actually 28 ounces, right? And you can see how thick they are, and you can see here it's 2 ounce pure 4.9. This is actually 4.9s. You can see 4.9s pure silver 2 ounce Maple Leafs. But you got to sing Old Canada when you sell them. So the Queen's still on there. And so I got that roll, and I was excited, but I kept screwing up the price because I kept going. Oh, it's $25 an ounce, so 10 ounces is 250, and it'd be like, no, 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 these are 2 ounces. It's really $50 for each coin. It was like took me a while to figure that out. So if you do have, I do have some 5 ounce bars and some 10 ounce bars. He had a big fucking bar, but I never had any interest in it. It's probably pretty cheap. I could have probably got it for $1,000. Probably worth 10 grand now. Maples have a seal coating on them so they don't tarnish. Well, the maple gold are 999 24 karat. That's why they're so shiny, but you got to be careful. I put them, they're all in these. Anything is in these so they don't scratch or bleed or anything. I have very few silver that's a little blackened. Most of my silver like this, where it's just beautiful silver. There's no question. You do the magnet to them, but when I go to my guy's store, I don't worry about it. I trust him by now that he's doing it. But that's where it's at. We're watching it go, and again, just sell if you have to sell a couple of them. There's no 1099, so as far as you're concerned, no tax, no 1099. Just like if you go play poker, you win $1,000. You think you're going to actually pay tax on that? Well, geez, gosh darn it, guys! I made 1,000 on poker winnings. Yeah, there's no 1099 because when you go play poker, you give them the chips, they give you the money. But gosh darn it, that's the way it is. So I'm just going to. Why would I report it? Oh, I made a ton on blackjack. Even when I hit all my football games in the Auburn Florida State game, when I ran the table on 50 tickets, I still they said, "Don't worry, we won't 1099 you." And I said, "Oh, okay," because I had like a lot of tickets, so I broke them into three, and I went to the cashier with like 15 of the tickets. And let's say I had 45, and it was like, and then she'd pay me, and about an hour or two later I'd go, and it was just fun going and cashing. But I never thought of paying tax on that. Why would I? That's why casinos are popular. It's not really non-taxable unless you hit a slot machine for 10 grand. They're going to tax you. Otherwise, you're not paying tax on it, and you're not paying tax on sports winning or poker, unless you're in a World Series of Poker and you win $50,000, you're going to get a 1099 from the casino. But if you're just playing cash game and you win a couple thousand, you're not paying tax on it. I'm not paying tax on this silver. You're out of your minds. And my guy won't 1099. So you have no idea if I bought or sold. As far as I'm concerned, I don't remember. Your Honor. So you want to put the coin with the capsule into a tube. The gold, yes. The silver, I don't. The silver, I can take this out of the tube. I took this out of the tube. This is how it's in the tube, right? Because it's silver. But the gold, every piece of gold I have is in one of these, depending on the size, depending on quarter, half, and tenth of an ounce. And they're in the white. Most of them are in the white containers. Yeah, I don't want any issues with my gold. Even though there's the Philharmonics and a lot of Cougarans and Maple Leafs, not a problem. I'm not. That's why I'm not going to cash. If I cash anything now, it would be an Eagle. And then I'm wondering if I bring it 4 quarter ounces, are you going to give me an ounce for it? Which you should. It's an ounce. But that's kind of where it's at. So yeah, it's safe away. But now as it becomes more and more valuable, you got to be careful with it, right? Still in the safe, but maybe you put the safe in a different area, or you put it somewhere else, because as more people become aware and as they lose their money, they're going to become animals, right? So we got to be careful of that. I don't know what other place to put my gold, as Egon said. Well, it should be out of your. Where am I going to put it? In Canada and Switzerland? I'll give it to you, Egon. if I need a couple ounces, I want to be able to get it, unless Egon will sell my ounces and give me the money for it. But what money are we going to be using in 2 years? It's all going to be gold and silver, probably sooner. But what if you need two front teeth replaced? Gold? Well, it depends how much it is. As our silver goes up in value, here's ClearPath Consulting with timeshare solutions. I don't have a timeshare. I love when they do that. They want to give you, I don't know where. Yeah. Oh, I heard you want a shower. No, I don't. I don't live at that house anymore. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, if you need two front teeth replaced, yeah, you might have to go to the gold or a lot of silver. You can cash in 10 ounces of silver, pay for the teeth. And that's where we have the option. So again, the lesson I'm teaching Alyssa, I gave her a 10-ounce bar way back when it was like, I said, this is worth like 250, maybe 300. And now I tell her, well, she said, well, maybe I'll sell it at 1,000. Little did she know, like 3 or 4 months later, it's 1,000. I mean, it's basically 960. And then I give her the dilemma. Well, if you sell it, you won't have any when it hits 500 an ounce. And now she's like thinking, oh yeah. I says, that's the problem. You don't really want to sell it and get $1,000 for it at 100, when at 500 you're going to get 5,000 for it. And even then, when will you sell it? So again, it's not really to be sold, but she's excited that I gave her it in the first place, and that she was happy it was 300. And I says, well, just wait, it'll be 1,000. And I think I'm freaking her out because it's at 1,000. I think she was just thinking, how can he know that? And now it's here, and she's like, oh fuck, he did know that. So really, that's where we're at. But it's just going to keep going, and there's nothing to stop it because comex is gone. We're on the physical. This is the Chinese pricing that we're getting, and comex is just, they cannot stop the price. So now we're getting a real physical market, which is what we've been waiting for years. Notice how silver got to 50, went back down to 10. Well, that ain't happening. Never again. There's too much demand for it. It'll hit 200 before it would ever go down. You have no risk that it's going down. There's nothing that can make it go down. The only thing that makes anything go down is no demand. So you want chocolate cake and nobody, oh, chocolate's no good. Oh, we can't sell our chocolate cakes. And then you put it on sale, or you realize Coca-Cola is bad because of the sugar. You got to put it on sale. Not silver and gold. There's nothing that can happen to it that it's bad, or except if it's counterfeit. Well, that's why we go to a trusted source and we put the magnet to it and we test it, and then we buy. And then once we buy at the place A, we go back to place A. I don't buy it from the guy off the street, right? It's not the thing you buy. Love to have 5,000 by Friday. Well, maybe next Friday. Gold. Yeah. It could be 5,000 tomorrow. The way it's running, $70, $80 a day, and we're at 49 and a quarter, we could get it today. Because once the Chinese get it tonight, they're buying the shit out of it. So keep in mind, COMEX, really strange thing. The US has it from like, I think it's 9 to 5. And then China has it from like 6 to like 2 in the morning. And then Europe has it from like 2 in the morning till 10. So there's different sectors buying COMEX depending on what time of day it is. We're in the US buying it, which is shocking. Tomorrow or tonight, it'll be the Chinese, and they're going to eat it up. So, yeah, we could get 5,000. I'll come on it could be 2 in the morning. It's 5,000 very easily. Yeah, I thought you were talking silver. That might take a few more weeks. But yeah, we're in no danger. There's no profit taking unless you're a total idiot only an idiot would profit take this. A, because it's not even near where it's going. The price is going way, way higher. But B, then you got to get back into this shit. And the whole game we're playing is get out of this shit. And so therefore, if I do profit take, unless I need it for two front teeth or I'm buying a car, you got to be out of your mind to do it. Even then, I wouldn't buy a car with it. I'd wait till everything crashes, and then I'd buy a car with it. So that's why I bought my car in 2018. The interest rates were like 1%. I knew they were going to go up, and I bought it and paid it off in like 3 years. And now I got a Camry with under 100,000 miles that I just keep driving, and I don't owe a payment on it. And I don't want when I go to the Toyota for an oil change, he keeps going to me, and I get him for free. That's the only reason I go there. So he says, "Oh, we got to get you in never buy an electric. You're talking to the wrong guy." Just like I don't want anything to do with AI. I developed my skill set manually, so I'm very leery of this bullshit AI or we're going to do it for you. Even football, I get really tired of watching this shit. I was watching the Steeler Raiders 74 championship game in Pittsburgh on the way to the Super Bowl. No, it's the 75 game, the game where it was ice cold in Pittsburgh. And it's such a different game. There's no stoppages. There's no, let's review it. Did he get his foot in? Whatever the ref called was what happened. So if the ref screwed up, he screwed up for both teams. But there was nothing. It was just ref made the call, move on. No, maybe he missed a few, but he'd miss them for both teams, but it didn't matter. And that's how it should be. I hate this. You're constantly stopping the action to, well, was it a touchdown? You can't even enjoy the touchdown. You're watching Stallworth catches a great. Stabler hits a touchdown, right? Who's the guy, the receiver from Buffalo they got? Mike Siani catches a touchdown. You're excited. That's a touchdown. There's none of this bullshit. Well, did he control it through the catch? It's insane what they're doing. They're killing your concentration. Well, we got to review everything. No, fuck that. Stop at the reviews. Stop at the commercials. I'd like to watch a game in peace, and you're basically taking the peace away from it. I always get notified when you are live, so I would watch late. Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty much every day, unless there's just something going on and I can't. Bulletproof Camrys. Well, I'll need that. I'll line it with silver. Anyway, I think that's it. Jesus, 3.5 hours. John C. TK, these apps are crazy. I hate the apps. I hate everything, like all this new technology. I don't find any value in it. Just leave me alone. Even the phones, okay, I can go check my email. I can check my gold price. I can check the football games. And if I get a text from Daria or somebody, then okay, I'll read it. But outside of that, I don't, I don't get it. I don't want it. I want thing. I had an interview yesterday that I totally just killed the guy. Like, well, they need one stream and it says you've used it before. Yeah, I used it for 3 months at Tentacle. I thought it was the worst system in the world. Why wouldn't you get S-Base? Well, I don't think you're a good fit for the job. And I'm like, fuck off. Why did you bother me? Where on it does it say I program, software? I couldn't program S-Base, but I can use it. I can't program Excel, but I can use it. And I can create models and bring in data and automate it. But that's what I do. But just because I know IT and I know programs, how to use it as a user, like here, I know YouTube, I can do a class, but I don't know how it comes about. So he's like, can you do this? And I said, well, you're probably having trouble because nobody in the right mind uses this system and nobody knows it. So you're fucked because you'll never find anybody who can do what you want. It's not possible because most companies use S-base and not that. So he's like, well, if there's something else comes up, and I'm like, fuck off, don't stop bothering me. I'm retired now. My silver's at 100, my gold's at 5,000. I'm not working anymore. I don't need to. Anyway, that's about it. So I'm going to eat, and then I go to the pool soon. And it's Thursday. We are due for 10 inches of snow, I think, tomorrow or Saturday. And then we're going to get 30 below, I think, Sunday and Monday. So it's going to be fucking nuts here. Apparently, I'll stay in and do the class. If I can get to the pool, I'll do that. I'm not going to worry about it. I do have food, so I should be okay. But I don't know what I'm worse, the 10 inches of snow or the 50 or the 20, 30 below zero. And I don't think that's with wind chill. We're getting like this Arctic mass, which is hitting Minnesota now, but I think we're getting it. So it'll be like the ice ball. DK, yeah, we are getting snow too here. Where are you, John C? What city, what state are you? You can tell city or state. But anyway, yeah, I guess there's a big winter snowstorm. I saw the city in Russia got hit with 10 feet of snow. 10 feet. It wasn't St. Pete or Moscow. It was, I don't know what the name, some Russian name, but they got 10 feet of snow. You're in Connecticut. Oh, okay. You're Nixon, Connecticut, or New Jersey, somewhere on that side. The Camry's motor is bulletproof, lasts forever. It seems like it, doesn't it? My other one, I had an 03 Camry until 2018. I had it for 15 years, 300,000 miles, and the thing ran like a top. Never a problem. Same engine, same trans, never a problem. Ron, you're in New Jersey. Okay, well, so you're probably getting this snow also. Well, be careful. And if you got to go out, I need a hat. I got to get a hat. But I've went to my Spectre coat. It's got a spider on it, so I always think I'm part of Spectre. All right, that's it. I'm gonna go eat and swim, and we'll keep an eye on our gold and silver. If it hits 5,000, I'll do a quick show just saying it hit 5,000. Do I shovel? No, I'm in a apartment complex, so I let it. They shovel it. But now, why am I here? It's because I don't want to buy a house now, because the house prices are going to crash. So I'm going to buy after the crash. I did have a nice house. I was in condos. I really didn't want to be here, but when I came back from Alabama, I went to Toyota, and when I came back, I didn't have any place. So to get a place, I just got an apartment near where I was working, and yeah, the thought is, now that everything's going up, now the thought is to buy a house after the crash and go from there. I might move into a condo soon. I got to get out of here. It's too noisy. I can hear the idiot on top of me walking, and they play their TV too loud. They don't realize they're in an apartment. You're supposed to be quiet, especially late at night. So I got to get out of here. Have a good evening. Okay, Ron, you too. I'm going to send you the password. There is 2 teasers, so you'll have three picks, and we'll go from there. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. We are looking at $100 silver, $5,000 gold. I would say by tomorrow, if not today. All right, Johnson, you have a good day too. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks and enjoy. I know it's a long one, but it was well worth it. Good conversation. All right. Take care, everybody. www.teaserking.com for this week's picks. All right. Take care.